Ghana PLC. Adjudged the Petroleum Company of the Year 3 consecutive times by CIMG. Now inducted into the Hall of Fame. Dedicating these wonderful accomplishments to you, our valued customers. Thank you for your unwavering trust and loyalty to the Total Energies brand. And we promise to continue delivering excellent and innovative products for you all the time. Richard Sky is wearing a very interesting set of things. He's wearing a fugu, which is blue, and then he's wearing what is called in Ghanaian parlance kuli high. This is really like it's the cap. I'm not sure. It's not a cap. It's not a hat too. I'm not sure which it is, but you can tell us what it is. You know, a hat is different.
In Britain, we call it newsboy's hat.
Oh, okay. So what the news? Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's really nice. Newsboy's hat. No, to differentiate it from a cap. Yeah, this is a newsboy's hat. Okay. But it usually goes with a certain kind of apparel. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So it's criminals who wear it.
Oh,
this guy.
Oh, really?
Well, in popular culture, if you watch Peaky Blinders,
It's just
remember?
Actually,
Peaky Blinders. This is what they wear. Then they hide all the things under.
But you have made a sweeping statement.
Oh, please,
You
officer.
can say some criminals wear.
No, he says in
But I'm pressing.
I said in popular culture.
You know what?
I said in popular culture.
Yeah. Anyhow, so guys, welcome. So we have Godfred Akotoboafo and we have Richard Sky. My name is Bernard Avle, by the way. The show is meant to be interactive. So if you hear something that you want us to comment on, send us a WhatsApp 0549986996. If it's much longer, send us an email. We received a few emails. I'll dedicate one morning to these emails.
Yeah.
So don't lose hope if your email has been read yet. We sort of take note and we gauge the mood. We look at the issues and then we jump in at once. So Sky, let's start with the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, so the Ghanaian Times says this morning at the UAE Business Forum, Ghana targets net zero emission as it employs climate-friendly technologies practices in mining. Also, we are told that PAC, which is the PAC, orders arrest of 3 guarantors for guaranteeing for workers who breached bond conditions. Also on the front page, we are told that Finance Ministry individual bondholder strike deal agreed to set up technical committee to address concerns. And Asin North MP filed motion for review of Supreme Court ruling.
Let me take you to the front page of the Daily Graphic. AG bursts teeth at tax evaders, warns culprits will face the law. On harnessing after potential, police international agencies collaborate to enhance securities coming from the IGP, Dr. Ekufu Dampare, making Ghana Mecca for Pan-Africanism. Yesterday we were discussing this. December in GH. Boost tourist arrivals. I think we spoke about the numbers as part of our conversation. And technical team to review individual bondholders' proposal.
The Chronicle has an NDC story. Dual citizenship, ghost hunting NDC. Also, we're told that horror. Lady hangs herself and son. This is a very distressing story on the front page of the Chronicle this morning. And then the MPA imposes sanctions on 4 OMCs for illicit trading. And then there's something here. Mortuary man chops 77,000 Ghana cedis government cash.
Wow. Let me take you finally to the front page of the Anchor newspaper, Bernard. Krobo chief questions NPP chairman source of wealth. Okay. New dawn for non-traditional minerals as government woos investors for lithium, copper, zinc development. Tension brewing at Graphic Communications. And the finance says, musician Ketches billionaire wife joins NDC MP race. And Joanna Jan is on the front page of the newspaper. She's vying to become the parliamentary candidate for Amenfi Central.
Okay, the New Crusading Guy says this morning, again repeating the story about the NPA and those sanctions. NPA sanctions 4 OMCs over illicit trading. If you go elsewhere, we're told that NDC presidential parliamentary primary slated for May 13th. And then also, after HAB needs massive investment to succeed, according to the Minister for Communications, Esla.
If you go to citynewsroom.com, a few stories there, not Chukoto or Kotoi demands source of funding for 1 student, 1 tablet initiative. Meanwhile, IMF deal will spur economic growth. The president is confident. Technical committee on debt exchange to begin work today, according to Minister of Finance. And gold for oil firms in value chain won't be shortchanged. Bawumia's economic advisor says so. Still on citynewsroom.com, we are giving a Black West petition needed attention according to Shraj. And as you read, NDC to hold presidential and parliamentary primaries on May 13. And government is creating an unfair playing field with gold for oil policy. This is Alex Mold. If you go to majoonline.com, the lead story is any bank ceases operations as trustee in securities, industry, and capital markets. Also, scrapping the domestic debt exchange, not an option. Ofuriatta hints at addressing bondholder concerns. There are quite a number of stories on the bonds. Debt exchange finance ministry sets up committee, as we read already. And then Senyo Hosi says new bonds and a domestic debt exchange program are potentially worthless. And then if you go to a few other spaces, if you go, for example, to Bloomberg, their lead story is on global bond markets, incidentally. So apparently global bond markets are doing well. Global bond sales surged to record start of nearly $600 billion. So while Ghana is losing confidence in bonds, globally the situation is different. In Kenya, their central bank chief sees economy expanding to 6.2% this year. That's quite large indeed. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, producer price inflation decreases to 52.2 in December of 2022. And then PURC's reason for 2023 tariff increase is baseless, according to the IES. So those are some of the other stories making the rounds. Let's come to you.
So let's take off this morning with the story regarding the bondholders and their meeting with the Ministry of Finance yesterday. It produced some results. And if you go to page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, that story is there. DDE program Bruhaha. Finance Ministry individual bondholders strike deal. And the story says the Ministry of Finance and representatives of the individual bondholders yesterday agreed to set up a joint technical committee to resolve bondholders' concerns over the domestic bond debt exchange program. Now, the committee, which is expected to start work today, would address the issue of whether the individual bondholders will be exempted from the program or the terms of the program will be adjusted to suit their request. Now, the decision to form the committee was announced after a closed-door meeting between the two parties yesterday at the Ministry of Finance in Accra. Now, the representatives of more than 1 million individual bondholders were at the meeting. Now, former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senyo Hosi, one of the, the conveners, the Sector Minister, Ken Ofuriatta, and other officials of the ministry represented the government. They are addressing the media afterwards. Mr. Ofuriatta said the parties had an effective discussion towards working together to resolve their differences. It goes on to say that he stated that the program was voluntary, and although the 1.5 million individual bondholders had stated their concerns, the government was also concerned about the 30.8 million population of the country.
Let me stay with the Finance Minister's office on page 30 of the Graphic Business. He says the economy to rebound next year. The Minister of Finance, Ken Ofuriatta, says the economy will rebound in 2024. He projected a steady growth of 4.8% in the medium term between 2024 and 2026. He was speaking at the 74th Annual New Year School. Quote, "We're optimistic about the prospect of our dear country." This year's New Year School and Conference, which was held on the theme positioning the African market for sustainable African development through after brought together academia. So
all right, let me continue with the economy. Gold for oil firms in value chain won't be short changes. Bawumia's economic advisor. Story by Letitia. It says that Dr. Abdul Kabiru Mohammed, economic advisor to the vice president, has assured that firms that operate within the petroleum value chain will not be shortchanged in the government's gold for oil policy. Now, he said a channel has been created to address the concerns of firms in the value chain. Now, he was speaking on the point of view yesterday with Sela Madonu, and Dr. Kabiru hinted that the arrangement is such that no private person within the value chain is going to be shortchanged. Government has opened a channel to be able to address the concerns of these people. Now, Ghana on 15 January took delivery of 40,000 metric tons of the first consignment under the policy from the UAE. The move is meant to tackle dwindling foreign exchange reserves brought on by the demand for dollars by oil importers, which is weakening the local cedi and increasing the cost of living. And then Dr. Bawumia joined the New Year School, explained why Ghana did this, and yesterday on the point of view, Dr. Kabiru Mohammed sought to add more flesh to that analysis.
Okay, let's stay with the economy, and let me bring you two quick stories. These are from the Chronicle, because if you go to page 2 of the Chronicle, there's a story there that says zero coupon in 2023 for individual bondholders has to change. Again, quoting the Minister for Finance, and Maxwell Ofori writing says the Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, has indicated that the initial stance of zero coupon in 2023 for individual bondholders, quote unquote, has to change. There's a further quote here that says that we are looking at a situation where maybe the zero coupons for the bondholders in 2023 should be changed going forward. He was speaking apparently to Joy News on this particular matter. Now, the other story, which headline you read much earlier, says the producer price of inflation for December falls to 52.2. And it says the producer price inflation PPI rate for December 2022 was 52.2%, down from 78.1% the previous month. Now, the rate indicates that between December 2021 and December 2022, which is year on year, the PPI increased by 52.2%, representing a 25.9% point decrease in producer inflation relative to the rate recorded in November 2022, which was 78.1%.
Godfrey, there's a story on the graphic front page with the IGP's picture.
Yes.
I wanted you to touch on that story because there's a very interesting audio circulating on social media about a suspect who claimed that narcotics had been planted in his car boot.
Okay, let me take you.
And the police say they've arrested that man.
All right, let me tell you what the IGP said at the New Year's school. The IGP, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, stated that the police are collaborating with regional and continental security agencies to improve security in the country, especially as it hosts the AFTA. The move is in line with an African Union Peace and Security Council Insight report that indicates that in spite of the potential of AFTA to contribute to economic development, peace and security on the continent, its implementation could be hampered by security. So he delivered his presentation on improving
he did not touch on this
delivery.
But the police, yesterday a number of people sent me an audio of a man who said he was driving somewhere around East Legon.
My mother sent it to me.
So many people sent it, and he said basically that the police stopped him, checked his boot, and apparently they had dropped something in the boot. So the Lord or the Spirit told him to check, or he felt that he had an inkling to check, and he realized that narcotics had been placed in the boot. And then a few meters away, another group of policemen were waiting. Now, the police have on Wednesday arrested a man suspected to be the person in the audio tape describing an alleged elaborate incident of criminal behavior on the part of the police. Now, in the audio tape that has been widely circulated, the man who introduced himself as Dr. Patrick Asiedu claimed that he had been stopped by some police officers who planted substances suspected to be narcotics in his car and attempted to extort money from him. Police investigation so far established that the man who has been arrested is in police custody and is indeed called Patrick Asiedu. He's an Uber driver and not a doctor. According to a statement issued by the police, the investigation showed that the entire story narrated in the audio is false and a total fabrication by the suspect. The supposed military intervention and the alleged fight between the police officers and the military described in such a dramatic detail in the audio tape are all false and a figment of the suspect's imagination. It added, equally false are the vivid descriptions of having been taken to the Accra Central and East Legon police stations, as well as the Narcotics Control Commission. The claims of fingerprints being taken are all untrue.
You see, it's unfortunate that this is happening, and we hope that they get to the bottom of this particular matter, because I also received this file, so many of them.
Forwarded many times.
Exactly, forwarded many times. And it's good that,
the police acted on it.
Exactly, acted on it.
They actually sent an initial statement that they were investigating the matter, and then later on released a statement that they had arrested the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, but there's also an issue about how the police are stopping and searching vehicles, because I've faced that situation quite a number of times. The question is whether lawfully or legally a policeman can just in the middle of the road stop you to search your vehicle without reasonable suspicion of you having committed a crime. I think there has to be some, questions over that particular
how they exercise the mandate.
Exactly, because if somebody and the wife are just driving to...
They said they are doing routine check.
You see, there's a problem with that, I
Why?
think. Because you can only intervene, halt someone, and search the vehicle the way they do intrusively if you have reasonable suspicion that the person in the vehicle or someone in the vehicle has committed a crime. Otherwise, you need a warrant.
What space do you make for... Maybe they set up a barricade somewhere and they are just doing a routine, whatever they call it. And then maybe they have a random way they do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, let's check every fifth car. So that could just be a method they use. So what I'm saying is that do they have to explain to you that they have reason of suspicion?
You see, of course, I mean, those are issues that come up legally subsequently. But you see, what this does is it undermines people's right to privacy.
But you need to balance that with our own collective need for security.
Bernard, what I'm saying that I agree with the idea that there should be collective need for security. But you cannot, I believe, and that's my respectful view on the matter, that stop me in the middle of my driving session to somewhere and then say that I should get down, so you search the car without first of all having reasonable suspicion of
But my question is, how do you know if they have reasonable suspicion?
You see, that was what happened to Sanda.
Who established it?
The law establishes that. The test is there.
Okay, so maybe when you are stopped, then you can test it to say, look, why did you stop me? Is it because I look like a criminal? Are you profiling me? Or did the law...
You know what happened to Sanda?
I know. I'm not obvious. I'm just saying that we have everything is about balance. Everybody has a right to personal safety. But the police also have a duty to keep us safe.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they should get... You see, that's where they have the leverage to do what they sometimes do.
No, we have to just balance it. Let me go on. Don't worry. You can discuss this in the later on the show. This is not the time for this.
No, Bernard.
I'm my brother, it's okay. I've heard you.
Hold on. Please, let me make my point.
You made your point.
No, you should not be dismissive of
I've not dismissed it. I'm saying that we will have time to discuss it.
Let me just finish. I'm saying that you should not be dismissive of the idea, because it's a very important and profound point I'm making.
I have not dismissed it. I am saying that we have to balance the point with the need for our security. And I'm saying I'll give you 10 minutes to bring your legal books and deliver. Now, there's a question I want to read for you. The IES is questioning the PURC for the basis for their tariff increment. This is on Citi Business News.
But they have increased that already.
Well, but they are asking for the justification.
We are going to pay.
Well, the IES is asking the PURC, which is the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, to justify why they have increased electricity prices by 30% and water by 8.3%. Now, the commission cited the city depreciation, soaring inflation, and issues with power generation as reasons for their approving the increment. But the IES, however, considers the assumptions used by the PURC on the electricity generation mix of 26.11% and 73.89% as baseless. This assumption amounts to giving priority to thermal power generation over hydro, given that water elevation for Bui and Akosombo generating stations had improved water heads levels and capable of producing over 35%. They're basically saying the assumptions are only true if we are only using thermal. If you bring hydro in, it falls flat. They're also saying they anticipated a marginal increase in tariff, but not at the level that was announced. So we can look at that later on.
Okay, let me tell you about some three nurses who have blown 173,117 Ghana cedis.
Where?
Of steady leave cash on page 19 of the Daily Graphic. You know, the Public Accounts Committee is always interesting to listen to. So the Public Accounts Committee has directed the management of 3 hospitals to lodge a complaint with the police for the arrest of guarantors of 3 former staff who have failed to honor their bonds after receiving support from the facilities. The chairman of the park, Dr. James Kluchaveji, gave the directive yesterday at the committee sitting in Accra. That, he said, will compel the beneficiaries to refund all money spent on their studies by the state. So this is what happened. The nurses got guarantees. So one hospital, for instance, spent 80 something thousand on the nurse, and she didn't come back from the US. It's actually 84,000. So the 3 hospitals have been asked to, find the money. So Kolebu, Accra Psychiatric Hospital, and in Carrier Twansi Hospital.
Let's stay with matters coming from Parliament, the committee. There's a story in the Ghanaian Chronicle, page 8, says a mortuary man apparently has chopped some 77,000 of government cash. And Agnes Ansah, reporting from the PAC, says the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has directed the Ghana Health Services to recover an amount of 77,000 Ghana cedis mortuary fees from one Stephen Kwabena Battels, a mortuary attendant. Now, the amount represents monies paid on 554 dead bodies deposited at the Efian Kwanta Hospital mortuary between January 2019.
Is it dead body money you chop?
Charlie. And July 2020. Now, the chairman of the PAC, Mr. James Kluchaveji, who issued the directives, said the money should be deducted directly from the controller and accountant general. He goes on to provide.
I like the way the PAC is surcharging people, is asking people to refund. There was a report a couple of days ago about Kolebu as well, where an amount of money had been wrongfully paid to dead people, and they asked the hospital to pay back. I think that's the way to go. And now, this is important because there are a lot of hospitals suffering. Yesterday, I heard a story on Citi Prime News, which has been repeated here on this website. Nurses threaten to withdraw services over lack of basic resources. Now, when health professionals complain about lack of resources, not lack of money for them. They are basically saying the hospital is becoming a danger zone. I think they should be listened to. Yes. Nurses at the Tatale Sanguli District Hospital in the Northern Region are threatening to withdraw their services if management does not provide the basic resources needed for work by 23rd January. That's Monday. The nurses in a petition to management cited by Citi News allege that the facility is in a very deplorable state and is negatively impacting health delivery and individual performance. Now, no drugs in the facility. All suppliers are not ready to work with the hospital for supply of drugs and consumables. Hospital theater works with no anesthesia machine. We are with this petition giving management up to 23rd January to fix the challenges. Listening to the nurse that spoke yesterday, Sky, it was so sad. I mean, you are performing CS with no anesthesia. How does that even make sense? And when they admit to people, every single thing the person needs, including supplies, has to be bought by the person. Now, apparently, Tatale Sanguli is near the Ghana-Togo border. They have lots of cases. And the nurse who spoke said he's putting his job on the line to make this appeal. Because, a lot of times in state agencies, when you open your mouth and talk about lack of facilities, they will sack you, they will transfer you. And he said he's prepared to sacrifice because there's no way he can reasonably continue to work in a facility like this.
Yeah. Let me add to that for you on page 12 of the Anchor newspaper in the Upper East region. There's a doctor that was also complaining because between March and September 2022, kidney failure killed 15 people out of 30. Yes. Now, the situation, according to the health workers there, is worrying and needs urgent measures to curb it. Now, Dr. Emmanuel Akatibo, a physician specialist, made this known. Quote, he says, since I started working in the regional hospital in March 2022 as the only physician specialist, the Department of Internal Medicine has recorded over 30 kidney failure cases that needed dialysis, either as a long-term renal replacement therapy or a short course of dialysis to allow time for the kidney to recover. Unfortunately, this service is not available at the regional hospital, which serves as the main referral center for the whole of Upper East, parts of Northeast, Burkina Faso, and Togo. Out of those who had end-stage kidney failure and needed long-term hemodialysis, only a few could afford to travel to Tamale, the nearest center for dialysis.
Wow, that's a very, very, very disturbing story. But let me take you to a story on page 3 of the Crusading Guide, the new Crusading Guide. It's also talking about fining. MPA sanctions 4 OMCs over illicit trading. Now, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has sanctioned 4 oil marketing companies for engaging in illicit third-party trading and unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Now, per the sanction, Finest Oil will pay a fine of 160,000 Ghana cedis, comprising 10,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the first time, and 150,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Failure by the company to comply will attract an additional 1-month suspension of its operations. In the case of PetroX, it will pay a fine of 340,000 Ghana cedis, comprising 10,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the first time, and 330,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Now, if PetroX XP fails to comply, it would attract an additional 1-month suspension of its operations. And there's one more company, or in fact, 2 other companies affected. That is Glassac Oil and then also Lily Gold Resources.
Before we do international stories, there's a story that I thought would interest both of you. It's on Star FM. Krobo Chief questions MPP Vice Chairman source of wealth.
Yes, I have it. Page 5, Anchor.
I thought it's, maybe you should read the Anchor version.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this.
Yeah, he is challenging Richie Chumberima Cranting. He says, quote, I dare Chumberima to tell us his source of income. I dare Chumberima that if he claims that he is wealthy, he should create job opportunities for the teeming youth to earn a living and not use them to dump them after he has achieved his goal. There seems to be a dispute between the two of them.
The angle of the Star FM is that the chief alleges that this person has become suddenly wealthy and living an opulent lifestyle, using his money to influence people, interfering in chieftaincy matters in Yellow Crop. So, Sky, going back to police. So, if somebody in the jurisdiction that you studied for your masters suddenly began to show a certain opulent lifestyle, I think the police or the Yoko or whichever agency was responsible could preemptively move in to check whether this person's lifestyle matches their income.
Yeah, so
that is one way you can check corruption, is that not?
Yeah, the position of the law in the UK or England and Wales is that there's something known as unexplained wealth. In other words, there's an assessment of how much you are earning, or traditionally you've earned over the last, say, 1 year or 2 years. So they know how much averagely you earn from all your lawful sources. If there is a difference between what you earn and what
you are spending,
display or what you spend, the law empowers the authorities to intervene.
That law, they're here.
But here we don't have that. I think
is there no law close to that?
It's only Clement who was recently advocating, Clement Akapam. He's been speaking on this matter and says that there needs to be a change in the position of the law. I share that particularly.
Because you see, we a lot of our sort of issues have to do with after the fact. We are not able to preempt some of these things. And I feel if the law has to change, it ought to change.
Let me give you 2 quick stories from the Galamsey side of things on pages 5 and 8 of the Anchor newspaper. Foreign nationals invade forest reserves. So they are small-scale miners are reporting that forest reserves in the western region, including Bekwai Denyao, Aprapramai Forest Reserve, Yaya Forest Reserve, and Bibiani Takem are all active at the moment. In fact, they said they went to Acheso. When they got there, they saw that people were going about their mining activities and degrading the forest reserves. They also went to Denyao Forest. They went to Punyase. They went to Birechira Chrome. And everything is Sakatu there. And then on page 8, the miner says they are giving the government 2 weeks. If they do not clear illegal miners, they will sack them themselves.
Yeah, I heard that on the news yesterday, and I thought that was a bit troubling for small-scale miners to threaten to go and remove miners from a forest if the police did not act. I thought that is something we should be careful. Now, in the rest of Africa, Gambia's Vice President Aliou Diouf dies in India. We were told he had poor views, but his name is Bandara Aliou Diouf. He died in India while seeking medical treatment. His death was confirmed in a statement on Wednesday morning by the office of the president in Banjul. And Mr. Diouf is the first Gambian vice president to die in office. He reportedly suffered from a brief illness, but there was no word on the exact cause of his death. However, rumors of his ill health began circulating in December last year. He reportedly stopped appearing in public shortly after he returned from a visit to the Turkish Republic of North Cyprus in December. And he was a teacher, served as Minister for Education in the Barrow administration before he was appointed vice president. So,
wow, such a tragic one. May his soul rest in perfect
peace.
Just next door, we're told that the court has dismissed a suit seeking Tinubu's disqualification.
So he's in the race?
Yeah, he's in the race.
So it's a 3-horse race. Yeah. We'll focus on Nigeria's election. And then
the candidates make me happy.
Just on Africa, Tanzania and Kenya have continued their fight. Now, Tanzania is barring Kenyan firm for harvesting unripe avocados. These stories are all coming up.
Avocados are a big deal for the Kenyan economy.
And then globally, bond sales are surging. Lots of people are lending to government. Not sure if we can say the same in Ghana.
Yeah, because we have damaged the whole market.
Yes.
We're sorry to interrupt this program for a breaking news story. Information reaching us is that the whole country has been thrown into a state of joy.
work later today. The team was formed on Wednesday following a meeting between the two parties on how to address concerns relating to the domestic debt exchange program. The two groups have thus expressed commitments in finding an amicable solution to their differences as far as the domestic debt exchange program is concerned.
We can indeed circle the wagons and work within our limitations, but ensure that we all come out ahead somewhat, even with our limited resources. So once again, let me emphasize that indeed the program that we have is voluntary. What do we all have to do to be able to put our shoulders to the heel? And some are more vulnerable than others, and therefore some will contribute more than others. But we'll find a way to get a formula, that protects the most vulnerable and ensures that we still end up being able to secure an agreement with the fund in a way in which we'll have an orderly adjustment to our macros, our physical, and build a stronger country.
Finance Minister Kendo Fariata, meanwhile, convener of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum, Senyo Hosi, is optimistic that the work of the committee will create a common ground to address the challenges of stakeholders in the domestic debt exchange program.
The consensus to have a technical team review the options that we have proposed is very welcome. And we look forward to working with your team, as indicated, for us to find a common path forward. We have clearly maintained our argument that we constitute a very small portion of the pie, which we believe should not hurt. But the impact on this subsector is the harshest. We commit to working with you on your plans to improve your revenue generation, to working with you on the ways to rationalize the expenditure sustainably and also manage the general Ghanaian expectation.
Convener of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum, Senyo Hosi. Economist Professor Lord Mensah has expressed optimism in a possible review of some of the modifications to the terms of the domestic debt exchange program by the technical team to be conveyed by the Finance Ministry and the individual bondholders. This follows a meeting between the Ministry of Finance and leaders of the individual bondholders group and other stakeholders at the Finance Ministry yesterday to find an amicable solution to some concerns about the domestic debt exchange program. Professor Lord Mensah believes that government's move to finally engage the individual bondholders will restore confidence to bondholders.
It's a step in the right direction. I think this was supposed to be done earlier, before even the announcement of the debt exchange. This is what is expected of a bond contract because it's a counterparty, kind of engagement, and for which if there's going to be any, change to the engagement, both parties must be in the know for them to come to a compromise or possibly a convergent point. I'm very happy the finance minister has admitted that the zero coupons that was supposed to be paid this year was too low. I mean, in our environment, this was a shock because we've never experienced any single digit interest on any of our instruments past. So how come, if you are restructuring debt, then you will go by 0% in 2023 and then 5% 2024. So the whole thing needs to be reviewed and to make both parties, comfortable the whole exchange. Not to say that we don't need the exchange. We need it. To have, that fiscal space for the entire country. And so if you are proposing something, it shouldn't be one-sided. And the two-sided agreement that have been, drumming up is what we are seeing now. And hopefully, maybe something good will come out of it.
Professor Lord Mensah also urged both parties to avoid any elongated discussions in reaching a compromise.
They can take position because if you look at the dynamic, really, you don't buy the government a new exchange. Your bond will be a junk bond. And junk bonds don't have market. And unfortunately for our country, it's only government that issues bonds. So if you're holding such an instrument, you won't get anywhere to sell it. And so you may end up going to court backward. And if you don't take care, I know, they'll be doing that kind of collective legal, assessment and all those. But if you don't take care, the cost involved, may may end up swallowing the entire.
Professor Lord Mensah is an economist. Now, the Institute of Energy Securities, IES, says the increment in utility tariffs by the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, PRC, is exorbitant considering the current economic situation. The PRC this week announced an upward adjustment in electricity and water tariffs by 29.96% and 8.3% respectively, effective February 1, 2023. The IES insists that the Regulatory Commission should have reviewed the rate below 20% instead of the nearly 30% increment. Adam Yakubu is a research analyst at the Institute of Energy Securities.
Today we have 83.10, 179 meters above sea level for Akosombo and we respectively. And you tell us that we can only generate 26% of our.
We realize that the PURC made some assumptions, some 4 key assumptions. That is the CD exchange rate, the inflation, then some weighted average cost of gas, then the energy mix. Our concern is on the energy mix bit of it, because the energy mix, the computation they use or the assumption they use was that thermal should give us 73.89, then hydro would do 26.11% of the generation. But we think that given the data we have from Akosombo and Bui, our hydro generation should go about 38%. That will then give the thermal generation some 62%.
Adam Yakubu is a research analyst at the Institute of Energy Securities. Zenith Bank seizes Zenith Bank Ghana Limited, a licensed trustee that engages in trustee activities in the securities industry and capital market in Ghana, has voluntarily requested to cease its unit trust services in the country. A statement issued by the bank, however, noted that all other businesses within the capital market are operational. This comes on the back of a statement issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) on Wednesday, which noted that the bank had willingly requested to stop providing trusteeship services in Ghana. The SEC noted that the reasons why Zenith Bank had decided to opt out of such a scheme are readily not known. It further noted that the SEC, after a thorough assessment of the circumstances, approved the voluntary cessation of business of Zenith Bank Ghana Limited as a licensed trustee. Zenith Bank Limited is no longer mandated to carry out any trustee activities within the securities industry. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar gained a peso and is selling at 10 cedis, 36 pesos. The British pound gained 14 pesos and is selling at 12 cedis, 85 pesos. The euro also gained a peso and is selling at 11 cedis, 3 pesos. Be guided that these figures will be higher at a forex bureau near you. Let's now join Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank for the latest updates on the bonds market.
Bond market opened the week on a positive note, recording a total volume traded of 486.84 million Ghana cedis. Trade concentration of short-lived bonds declined to 73% from 98% last week. The Data Bank Bond Index slipped to 81.11 points, accounting for a year-to-date loss of 0.18%. At Friday's Treasury bill auction, the Ghanaian Treasury seeks to raise 2.42 billion Ghana cedis to refinance estimated maturities worth 2.22 billion Ghana cedis.
That was Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank, and that's it for the breakfast edition of the Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil, Enterprise Life, your advantage, and Access Bank, more than banking, and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Caleb Kuda. Do have a good business day.
I nearly gave up on driving out of frustration. What hadn't I done? Purging, replacing electrical parts, changing my fuel pump, and still
Sexual intimacy has a huge load of health and wellness, including psycho-emotional benefits. And which is why we need to address the pain and the cause of the pain, just so that we make the experience holistic, pleasurable, just so the individuals, particularly the women, can derive the benefit. For instance, good sexual experience, when you have good sex, that leads to orgasm. at least 2 of that a week, has been found through scientific research to even limit the risk of some medical disorders by 50%.
Serious?
Yes.
2 times a week?
Yes, 2 times a week. You are calling like a prescription.
Some people are actually, this one they have to scatter.
You know, and obviously the more the better.
People are updating their notes and making new resolutions.
You know, and so it has a tendency to boost your immunity.
Forgive.
You know, and that's how your body is able to stand up to infections and be able to protect itself. It enhances your mood.
Employment opportunities to work opportunities. And what do I mean by this? Many people are finding that having one job is either too insecure or doesn't pay you enough to live. So instead, they have different work streams. So maybe I might be on a platform like Fiverr, where I offer my services as a graphic designer. On the other side, I may also have another side gig where I'm doing some jewelry thing and I put that on Instagram. On another side, I might do a little consulting where I'm giving people advice or coaching. So that's what we call the diverse work opportunities. So that's a mindset shift, that to be future ready, start thinking not necessarily of this one job, but these different work opportunities.
Updated your records yet with us? Well, the BOG is directing that the Ghana card is now the only accepted form of identification for all financial transactions. Visit any Leshaho branch near you to update your records with the Ghana card to enable us serve you better and faster. Call or WhatsApp 057-4065-958 or call 0302-208-333. Leshaho, let's improve life.
Good morning and welcome to Kickoff here on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Daniel Cranting. In the headlines, Ghana's Black Galaxies take on Sudan in their final group game at the 2022 CHAN. Needed a win to stand a chance of progressing. And Manchester United miss a chance to go second in the Premier League as Manchester City take on Tottenham Hotspur later tonight. Let's start off with Ghana's Black Galaxies, and they will later today take on Sudan in their final Group C match of the 2022 CHAN in Algeria following Morocco's withdrawal from the competition. After 2-1 defeat to Madagascar in their opening game of the tournament, Ghana must now produce a win against Sudan to stand a chance of progressing to the next stage. The game will kick off at 7 p.m. Ghana time in Constantine, and Black Galaxy's head coach Arnold Walker says his team will do everything possible to secure all 3 points.
Of course, yes. We played Madagascar last Sunday. We lost a painful defeat, which have worried us so much. Tomorrow is our next game, and like you are saying, it's a must win. We also know it's a must win, else we will not be with ourselves. So tomorrow we are going into this game with all that we can to win the match tomorrow.
You had Black Galaxy's head coach Arnold Walker speaking there. To some Ghana Premier League news now. In former Midiama Sporting Club midfielder Rashid Norte has completed a move to Premier League champions Kumasi Asante Kotoko on a free transfer. Norte has signed a 2.5-year deal with the Porcupine Warriors until 2025. The midfielder left Midiama earlier this month as a free agent after his contract ended last month. Norte made over 100 appearances during his stay at the Takwa-based club, where he was voted Midiama Player of the Season back in 2021. Moving on, the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Professor Peter Chumesi, has defended their decision to rent out the Accra Sports Stadium for social events during the festive period. The NSA received huge criticism for prioritizing political, religious, and musical concerts over the Bet Power Premier League at the National Edifice. Speaking at the Public Account Committee hearing, Professor Chumesi insists that the NSA's decision was necessitated by its insufficient annual budget.
Yes, what we generate helps to repair. For damage to the facility, I think I would say it's not really of a burden. The positive aspect of revenue generation, which is very positive for the running of the organization, especially when you look at the last year, the budget that you approved for us, by end of it, we realized the goods and services receive only about 287,000. So this IGF arrangement that we do are harmless to the infrastructure, and it's a good way of the organization also to generate revenue. Yes.
You heard the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Professor Peter Chumesi, speaking there. Let's do some Premier League news now. In Crystal Palace's Michael Olise scored a stunning last-minute free kick to deny Manchester United a victory that would have taken them second in the Premier League. United won course for their 10th successive win after Bruno Fernandes scored just before halftime. But Olise struck it in dramatic style with a brilliant curling free kick to ensure a point apiece. The draw does take Man United above Newcastle into third, but keeps them behind rivals Manchester City, who play at home to Tottenham Hotspur later today. Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag spoke after the game.
It is disappointed when one unlucky moment that you concede a goal like this, and then there's almost no time anymore to go for the win, almost. Because we had two opportunities, and there was a big chance, I think, from the corner with Bruno and with Casemiro. But yeah, when you concede a goal just beforehand, then it's less time, and I think it was unnecessary. I think we had to go early on and go for the second goal. It's quite clear when you're 1-0 up and you're totally in control in the game. But in football, one moment can change everything, and you have seen today, and that. The result of the game was by one unlucky moment change, although we controlled the game.
That was Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag speaking there. There's live Premier League action on 97.3 Citi FM later tonight, where Manchester City host Tottenham Hotspur at the Etihad Stadium in an outstanding fixture. Both sides coming to the encounter on the back of defeats in their various local derbies over the weekend. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says his team is fully focused on recording a win against Tottenham Hotspur.
Especially next game, so we are not able right now to think about it and big expectations apart of win the next game. And after the competition will dictate if they are once in front, it's because they are solid, they are good in all departments, and they deserve to be there. They were better than us so far. But there's still many games to play. It's how we come back and start to win the next game. Is the only important thing. Always when we're behind, I would say don't think about it to catch up Liverpool, who was in front in the last years, or just think and win next game, and after we'll see what happens. We have been in this position many times in the past, many times. Not the first time we're there. I've never been relaxed, even when 8 points in front. So before a game or during the game, never.
That was Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola speaking there. Tottenham, who are pushing for a place in the top 4, they also need a win against Manchester City, but their manager Antonio Conte believes you need luck to be able to beat Pep Guardiola's side.
To win against Manchester City, you have to try to don't make mistakes, because you know for sure, and when you are going to play against Manchester City, the ball possession will be 70-75 for them, and you have a 25-30% of the ball in possession, and in this period you have to be very good to move the ball well, to create chance to score. But and you are playing against I think the best team in the world in this moment, and it will be very difficult. Last season we were good. We showed a great resilience. Also in this type of game, you need also a bit of lucky to try to have a good result against this type of team.
That was Tottenham Hotspur manager Antonio Conte speaking there. Now, Inter Milan beat rivals AC Milan 3-0 to win the Italian Super Cup in Saudi Arabia last night. Federico Di Marco put the Serie A champions ahead after just 10 minutes when he tapped in a Nicolo Barella cross. Edin Dzeko made it 2-0 halfway through the first half before Lautaro Martinez wrapped up the win in the 77th minute. AC Milan were denied a consolation goal in stoppage time where Ante Rebic's effort hit the top of the crossbar. This is the first time Inter have beaten AC Milan in an Italian Cup final, having lost the Coppa Italia back in 1977 and the Italian Super Cup back in 2011. That brings an end to Kickoff here on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Daniel Cranting. For more sports news, this is citysportsonline.com. Kickoff was brought to you by the Shell.
Trust the process. The biggest
emotions. And so we start with these 4 basic ones. I'll ask you, how are you feeling? And then you answer, I'm feeling glad, or sad, or mad, or bad. Just those 4. So you pick one.
Glad, sad, mad, or bad.
Yes.
Only one positive.
Right. So when you answer, you say, oh, I'm feeling glad. Then all I say is, tell me more.
Okay. Then you elaborate.
So the person goes on. And the person may stop. Then you all say, repeat, tell me more.
Okay.
Until the 2 minutes or the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes is up. You'll be amazed how many emotions come up and things that person.
Can I use it with my kids?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do it.
Are you feeling glad, sad, mad, or bad?
And you'll be amazed. Bernard, I say to, I'm a bit ashamed to say, but I learned these things as an adult. And my children are learning them.
They'll do better.
They will do better. Yeah. They should do better.
They have to.
So you just go and you don't say anything when somebody says something that makes you want to go on a tangent. No,
so it's not
discipline
judgmental.
yourself.
So just let the person do their 5 minutes and then do your 5 minutes. And how do you reconcile the two?
Well, I mean, you can, depending on how much time you have, etc., you can sort out. This thing that you said, I don't agree. But at least it allows those 2 minutes, those 5 minutes for people to express themselves. That's the 5-5.
As much as
most of us, we are not
try to know yourself.
Okay.
And I want to entreat. For those of you out there who want to know yourself, we have the ability, we have the technology, we have the lab analysis that will help you to know yourself. So you will not be just placing yourself in assumption and interpretation of other people. So when they ask you who you are, you'll be able to tell who exactly you are, because that influences your decision, your choices, and even help you to manage your life. You don't want to leave this world without really coming to know who you are. So you're just trying to be like other people till you die without really coming to know yourself. So when you get in touch, we can give you what you have to do in order to get your lab analysis so that you can be so proud of yourself and even your children. So you don't struggle to know what your children will do in the future and all that. That is just a plus that you can give to yourself as your New Year package. And then you need to actually question your opinions of life. Know yourself as much as you can. Try to know yourself.
Okay.
And I want to entreat for those of you.
Important topic. He has consulted for a lot of companies globally. He's now a pastor, but he has deep insights into career issues. You don't want to miss that at 9 o'clock. Reverend Kuku Ferida is my guest on making successful career transitions, particularly at a time where we've had people consider their options. I've had people resign from banks to start farming businesses. I've had people leave multinationals to start their own small business. I've had people start a media career after many years working in other fields. And I've also had media people transition into corporate communications and into football administration. I have a friend who used to be a banker and now is a football scout, and I've had journalist friends who've moved out of the country and come back and they are doing consulting. So career transitions are very important, and you don't want to miss that at 9 o'clock. And it's probably brought to you by Enterprise, Your Advantage, and Hallmark Freight and Logistics. Speaking about Enterprise, this year's Enterprise Motor Insurance promo is different. Buy or renew your motor insurance with Enterprise and win instant gifts such as fuel coupons, branded gift items, and qualify for the monthly raffle draws with amazing rewards. What's more, when you buy your motor insurance from Enterprise, you can win an iPhone 14, a washing machine, high-pressure car washer, vacuum cleaner, auto tire inflator, and in the final month, a premium crotch rocket motorbike. Call your insurance broker, your agent, or visit an Enterprise branch for your motor insurance. Get free fuel coupons and be the possible winner of these amazing rewards at our monthly raffle draws. Don't forget, this promo is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Enterprise, Your Advantage.
One thing I know is true, love is in your eyes.
The UK government's Great Britain campaign is delighted to announce the launch of the great scholarships. Now, two of the members of this panel are beneficiaries of scholarships to the United Kingdom. You went to China. Kukui was in the US. But 13 universities have partnered with the British Council and the UK government's Great Britain campaign to offer 13 scholarships as part of the program. Universities include University of Bolton, University of Kent, University of York, University of Westminster, Sussex, Essex, St Andrews, Derby, East Anglia, Bolton. Bolton is repeated actually. Bangor. It's spelled Bangor, but it's pronounced Bangor.
Yeah.
And then Kew University. Now, the scholarships are worth a minimum of £10,000.
Hey!
£10,000.
Where do I sign up?
Towards tuition fee for 1 year postgraduate taught course in the UK. How do you sign up? Well, there's an information session for today, 19 January. There's one on 16 February and another on 16th March. How do you get to know about the information session? Go to the British Council website or simply search for Steady UK Great Scholarships. Yeah, and you get the link for the information session. So if you're looking for a scholarship to study in the UK, there are 13 big scholarships worth at least £10,000. And I'm a scholarship beneficiary, so I need to tell you that Charlie, studying on scholarship is very good.
Yes.
You know what?
It makes your life easy.
No, yeah, because, some of my friends who were sort of funding themselves, it wasn't easy. And some of them had to work to combine with schooling. And it's not ideal to do that.
Yeah, I remember there were times when my scholarship grants will just drop into the account. And suddenly you just assume you are rich.
Yeah.
And then I see some of my mates who have to work.
Yeah.
Try to make up for school fees and it's not easy.
Yeah. And now that we're on the subject of education, I'll repeat something I've said that, people have been looking for where to invest. And in fact, next week, Thursday, my guest on Effective Living series, we're talking about where do you invest your money now? Seeing that everything is gone bonkers.
Everything is Charlie.
Now, I want to submit that investing in people, it seems like strange, but Godfred, if I gave you a 17-year-old person who just finished SSS.
Yeah.
And the person maybe passed aggregate 7. And then you invested 15,000 cedis every academic year for their medical training at UHAS.
Yeah.
And in 7 years' time, they became a doctor.
Yeah.
And then they specialized to become, say, like pediatrician, right? Or obs and gynae, or orthopedics.
Yeah.
10 years later, 20 years later, somebody has an accident and they have a bone issue. And then you go to this hospital and this person who was walking around like some languid 17-year-old with no serious future is the orthopedic surgeon performing the surgery. Now, how much value can you place on that?
Yeah.
Or you pick somebody who could have ended up as a junkie and this person trains to become a teacher. And is teaching, mentoring lots of young people to change their lives. So a lot of times people want to put money into houses. So a lot of rich people I know have many houses. I'm told there are people who have like 200 houses, 50 houses. I hope in getting those houses today have human beings they've paid scholarships for, people they've trained. Because I think that if you put money into education, the rewards will outlive you. People like John Mensah Saba. Look at legacies like my family. My great-great-grandfather on the maternal side. So one of the first few people who were educated by Lawrence Wolfe, who came to Ghana 1847. He came to Peki to set up the EP Church. And because that man got educated, all his children got educated. And my family has a lot of educated people and we're all here. I'm probably here because of that man. Just one person being educated. So I just want to appeal to people who have means. When we come to you to say, look, contribute to things like COPE, it's not because we are just looking for money to make a name. Educating a person is really one of the greatest investments. Making somebody get a good, wholesome education is absolutely priceless. It's absolutely priceless. So in all the things we invest in stocks and bonds, in houses and lands and cars, and in businesses. What else do people invest in? In whatever shops, whatever you want to invest in. Investing in. Look, I always use cars as an example. Look Look at the human beings in front of you.
Very troublesome.
Charlie.
But it's such a significant contributor to society.
So for me, I want to say, look, those who have excess, those who have money, wondering what to do in the time where there's a lot of uncertainty, find a good scholarship and support. Build a school. Build a classroom block. Do something, because if you take young people of today, a lot of them are in the valley of decision, and sometimes it takes a simple scholarship to change a person's life completely. So let's not see investment in education as an expenditure. Let's see that don't expense it, make it an investment. So if you give 100,000 CDs to COPE, don't say it's just charity. Record it as an investment. He said, cast your bread upon the water and it shall return to you after many days. So even though Kafu hasn't asked me to do this, you may want to get in touch with us to donate to COPE. Because this year, the school fees have gone up everywhere. People are sending me results. I don't have money to pay. So let's deal with that. Let's also talk about something before I continue with the discussion of investment. Prospectus Ghana is introducing a new short code. *447*899#. Now, this short code is to help parents and guardians make payments by installments towards items required for their wards school admission. All right? You remember when you went to Form 1? You remember the prospectus you were given? And your mother had to go and sell things to buy. And there's some of the things on the prospectus. Chaliwati, cutlass, cloth, all kinds of things. Well, prospectus is making it easy for you to make installment payments to get those items. Now, investing in your child's education is very important. It can be financially burdensome to buy things in bulk at the beginning. So the Prospectus Ghana short code has been made available to help parents and guardians manage these economic times. Now, we also have a one-stop shop for all school items, and we are a supplier of good quality brand chalk white A4 sheets for all printing jobs, right? So our A4 sheets, high quality. We are on the Graphic Road opposite Toyota Ghana. You may also call us on 0500 600 607. 0500 600 607. Prospectus Ghana, your one-stop shop for all school items and stationery. Prospectus Ghana, your one-stop shop for all school items and stationery. All right. Where do we start from? Sky, I want to... my personal beef is the Tatali Sanguli Hospital, but I feel you wanted to throw a bit more light on the police thing. So please do that.
Yes, I'll do that.
You want to give me legal?
I'll do that briefly,
okay.
But Bernard,
you want to do a birthday?
Yeah, there's one small birthday dedication I want to do for a young woman who is always listening to us, and I guess that actually, if we do this for her, it would actually blow her mind. So the birthday dedication is going out to. It says that we would like to wish our beautiful, funny, caring daughter, Lynn Alice Matruk, 13th or happy 13th birthday. God bless, or may God continue to bless her. We wish you long life filled with happiness and success. Your loving parents and brother is coming in from your father, Anthony, and the rest of the family. All right. You know, she's always listening to us.
And there's also another one here. Wish my son, Kendricks Kekeli, Senna here. Happy 10th birthday. And my daughter, Kendra Fafali Senna here. Happy 8th birthday in advance. Wish them God's guidance and protection from their dad, Julian of Unique Cellular, their mom, Linda of ECG Adenta, and their two favorite grand uncles, Kwesi and Davis Kobo. I like this one. So, Kendricks Kekeli, you are 10, and Kendra Fafali. They sound like twins, but they are not. You are 8. Happy birthday to you from your dad, your mom, and from your grand uncles.
And then let me send birthday wishes 40th to Gordon Sa.
All right.
Yeah,
Gordon.
Yeah, today's Gordon.
Kayatos.
Yeah. Saji Group,
Yeah.
That's quite a few things.
Gordon Sa is a really avid listener. He works in one of the banks.
Yeah, Access.
Access Bank is a really nice guy.
So, happy birthday to him.
Gordon, happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
feel there's a lot in this story about as an audio that was circulated quite many times, or circulated widely. That's the word I wanted to use. Widely on some alleged act of police planting narcotics in somebody's car boot. And most people who heard it forwarded it to me and other people they know, because they're like, this is so bad, this is so terrible, this is so unpatriotic, this is so unprofessional. So the police issued a statement first. If you have the original statement of the police, you can read it for me.
Yes, so I have the police statement, and it says, that was yesterday, said the police investigate audio tape on alleged unprofessional conduct of some police officers. One, the attention of the police service has been drawn to an audio tape in which it is alleged some police officers planted substances suspected to be narcotics in a vehicle of a member of the public and attempted to extort money from him. To the police administration immediately launched investigations to the matter, and our initial checks at the stations mentioned in the audio, East Legon and the Accra Central police stations, have revealed that no such complaint had been made there. 3. As part of the investigation, the police have also contacted the Narcotics Control Commission and the Ghana Armed Forces, and both institutions have indicated that no such incident has come to their attention. 4. The investigation is still ongoing, and so far all efforts to identify the victim of the alleged incident, the said Dr. Patrick Esiedu, have been unsuccessful. We therefore wish to entreat the victim and any other person with relevant information on the incident to contact our telephone number, then is the phone number, to assist the police investigation. This is a temporary number dedicated solely to this investigation. That's why I didn't mention the number. 5. We would like to assure the public that the police service, in its quest to become an institution worthy of respect and trust in the country and a reference point for the rest of the world, will not condone any unprofessional conduct among its officers, and the service is determined to get to the bottom of this matter. 6. We'd like to once again urge the public to continue to support us in our transformational journey. Then, 9 hours ago...
This was issued yesterday.
Yesterday, yes. Then 9 hours ago, they issued another statement. Police arrest suspect behind viral audio.
So he's no longer a victim, now a suspect.
Yes, making false
victim
claims
to suspect in 9 hours
against some police officers. 1, the police today, 18 January 2023, have arrested a man suspected to be the person in the audio tape describing an alleged elaborate incident of criminal behavior on the part of the police. 2, in the audio tape that has been widely circulated, the man who introduced himself as Dr. Patrick Esiedu claimed that he had been stopped by some police officers who planted substances suspected to be narcotics in his car and attempted to extort money from him. 3, police investigations so far have established that the man who has been arrested and is in police custody is indeed called Patrick Esiedu. He's an Uber driver and not a doctor. 4, the investigation showed that the entire story narrated in the audio tape is false and a total fabrication by the suspect. 5, the supposed military intervention and the alleged fight between the police officers and the military described in such dramatic detail in the audio tape are all false and a figment of the suspect's imagination. 6, equally false are the vivid descriptions of having been taken to the Accra Central and East Legon police stations, as well as the Narcotics Control Commission. The claims of fingerprints being taken are also untrue. 7,
the elaborate descriptions the person gave.
Yes. Patrick Esiedu, the suspect,
that's a good creator,
however, alleged that he had once witnessed a similar incident to what he described in the audio tape and happened to one of his passengers. And
so he's now saying it happened to somebody?
Yes, that he witnessed.
Why did he describe it in the first person?
Then 8.
Meanwhile, they also claimed that he was a doctor.
So hold on. Number 8. Meanwhile, in another audio tape that has come to the attention of the police, the suspect alleges to have met with the IGP. We wish to categorically state that this claim is also false and should be disregarded.
Maybe they should examine him.
Investigations
I think all those things would have to be
are still ongoing, and suspect Patrick Esiedu, who is currently in police custody, will be brought to face justice. Signed by Grace and San Kofi, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Director of Public Affairs. Let me first of all congratulate the Ghana Police Service for this
quick one.
You see, because the speed with which they dealt with this was required based on what this audio, and Sky alluded to that this morning. This audio was circulated a million times. Like my mother sent me the audio. She was like, "I want police phone. Do you more? I was at the desk working on the police phone here. Say there." You know, so the speed with which the police moved and the clarity in the statement to try and assuage the public's fear and to try and restore confidence
was very, very rapid.
Was very rapid, and it's essential. Now, my second take on this is the abuse of social media. Okay, there are a lot of people who are doing all kinds of things using social media platforms, and I'll get to Sky's point about what we're trying to do. But I, for one, want to take it from the perspective of what this person tried to do. This person assumed that he had the safety of his phone with him. Basically, I'm going to record this, send it out there.
Without thinking
of the consequences, one. Two, it had a lot of repercussions.
It can be potentially very dangerous.
You see, because what happened is, now, as soon as a policeman stops somebody, the person is on the defensive, because a lot of Ghanaians had heard this, and the way
that he was traumatized and he was on bed,
all these things came up.
No, he was.
You understand?
Allegedly Uber.
So I'm happy that the police have been able to move in, but people need to be careful because we are having a lot more of these incidents. It does not mean that the concerns are not genuine, but I'm also saying that we also need to be a bit more cautious of what we do and some of the things we put out there, because there is a lot of fear mongering out there.
You know what is so painful for me? He has damaged what probably is a legitimate case
for some people
up on, because I have had people complain to me.
Yes, I've also had people
this has
complain
happened to them. So for you to, for now we are being told it's false with no basis, do such a thing. Even if you have said somebody told me this had happened to them, so people should be careful. It's not the same. But you now claim to have experienced them.
You put yourself at the heart of the experience.
Now what that does is that it reduces the seriousness for the next person. It's like the man who cries wolf. Because I'm sure there are people who can call in and say, Aloski, I have experienced this.
Oh, several.
You see, but this has weakened that case.
Exactly.
And so people should know, you see, the truth should not be compromised on the basis of convenience or just to be popular. If somebody told you something that you think is serious, tell us that somebody told you.
Yes.
But don't do this. Because what you've done now is the police are, so another one. These days,
you want to spoil our reputation.
And you know what could happen? Now we are even going to be clamping down on, because see, the police everywhere are becoming less tolerant. In fact, governments everywhere are becoming very intrusive and very. UK police is looking for a new law to stop protests that they consider to be violent. German police, the whole thing is becoming. We are supposed to be in a democracy, but the police are assuming this form, which is becoming very domineering in the name of security, because insecurity is rising. So you should not toy with something as important as this. They should examine the guy's head, and then whatever they do to him, he must be advised not to do it again. And those who ever do such a thing should be advised. You see, the issue of raising an alarm is so critical. Look at what happened to Umaru Sanda. So you don't use this for your 5 minutes of fame. Having said that, I'm coming back to you because I do believe that there's a legitimate concern about the way the police go about their work in terms of which unit is even doing the check. Today you are driving, you see some group of policemen, they've parked their car in some very precarious corner, they are holding guns, some are wearing masks, and they say they are checking something. Next week you see another group wearing camouflage type thing in some other corner, waiting to catch you for traffic. So, and then of course there's in the Christmas period, there was a day I was driving around 12 midnight, going to drop some people. Charlie, long traffic from Pyramid House all the way to police headquarters. Why? Some police people have set up a barricade and they're just flashing torchlight and looking at people's faces. There are like 10 events in town. This is like 29 December. So many events happening. People are reveling. I'm not saying don't do your work. You block the road and cause a lot of traffic and you're just shining torch in people's faces. What are you doing? So there has to be some. We need to, because criminals can also pretend to be doing checks. And I feel the police themselves need to let us know which of these actions are sanctioned and which are not. And which of them are legal and which is not. Because I've seen police people, some of them, they are up to no good. They just park their car in some corner, some random Sunday afternoon, and they say they are checking something. And they are stopping cars with DV. And then they are just saying, yeah, Master, good afternoon. What are you having? What is this?
Bernard, so before I deal with that matter and my respective views on the matter, let me just quickly draw your attention to regarding the publication that the gentleman is reported to have made. I have a feeling that if the police intend to proceed against him, they may well be using Section 208 of our laws, which is the Criminal Offences Act of Ghana and Domestic Violence Act of 2007, which is Act 7 3(2), and Section 208 precisely deals with the question of false publication. And with your permission, I can just quote the two sections relevant for the purpose of this particular discussion. So it says that a person, subsection 1 says that a person who publishes or reproduces a statement, rumor, or report which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that a statement, rumor, or report is false, commits a misdemeanor. Subsection 2 says it is not a defense to a charge under subsection 1 that the person charged did not know or did not have reason to believe that a statement, rumor, or report was false, unless it is proved that prior to the publication, that person took reasonable measures to verify the accuracy of the statement, rumor, or report. So let me, by way of illustration, quote from the book of Professor Henrietta J.A. and Mensah Bones.
This recent one.
Exactly.
Fresh from Yard.
Yeah, where,
fresh from Yard.
Not a very fresh one.
Not the biography.
No, not the
this
biography.
Okay.
This is a book that she wrote much earlier. And she illustrated this with the case Edusei versus the Republic. Now, in that particular case, the appellant wrote a letter to the Asantehene alleging that certain persons were plotting to overthrow the government. Now, the police investigated the report and found it to be false. He was convicted of publishing false news and deceit of public officer. On appeal, it was held that the mere making of a false statement was not the crux of the offense, but its publication to the general public. So that is the crux of the matter. Its publication to the general public in such a way as to cause alarm and fear. So the question is, what did the gentleman do? We're told that he made a claim that he was a doctor and that he had a particular experience. It would seem that from what the police are saying, all the claims that he made are false. You are now telling us that he claimed to be reporting something that somebody had told him. Even if he was reporting something that somebody had told him, the law here is saying that you ought to have taken reasonable steps to verify the accuracy or otherwise of the statement you subsequently
before you even circulate it.
Exactly. So it is important that people receiving information like this, people making claims like this, take steps to ensure that they know the requirements of the law and act accordingly. Otherwise, where they go foul of the law will deal with
When we come back after 8, I want you to now look at the other side, the issue of how the police exercise this search thing, where they decide to do their searches, how they go about the search. And of course, I'm sure there are people who have experienced police misconduct in the way the police go about this. So we have to balance the discussion. And I also said, we have to balance our need for safety and security with people's private rights. And I feel we need to go into the law to explain that. So we'll do some of that in the next few moments. But it's 2 minutes to 8, Citi Breakfast Show. Going to read a few more comments on this before we go. Bernard, the man is a liar. And the story is outrageous. But is this a civil matter or a criminal case? Why is he in jail? Good question.
It's a criminal matter because, as I read to you,
misdemeanor.
Yeah, that's right. So it's committing an offense and allegedly, and the police would have to take steps to prosecute him once the evidence backs what they allege.
Good morning, Bernard and team. The police can be very professional and rapid when the matter is about them. All right, more comments. Good morning, team. The audio may be false, but a close friend and a brother have experienced this kind of embarrassment before, so I honestly don't think we should ignore it. Good morning. Thank you for the question, for the comment. Bernard, concerning the audio, I think the guy was trying to inform citizens on how to carefully monitor anytime police officers stop you for search. Just that his approach by making it look like he was a victim was wrong. If you could remember somewhere last year or some time back, some police officers around Arudome were reportedly taking money from citizens, even by forcing them to ATM machines to get them to withdraw money. This was the approach they were using. I remember this story. We interviewed people on this. Sandra had an experience as well. That matter went to PIPS. I don't know where it is gone to. I'll talk to his lawyer to see. But our police people are doing this because one policeman almost put me in that state, but I was fast enough to stop him from touching my bag. He was then going to dip his hand into his pocket and I grabbed my backpack fast. You're capable of doing these kind of things. Good morning, team. Please, this investigation should not be left for the police alone. No. There should be an independent investigation to really ascertain the truth. Guys, don't jump to conclusions. Jones from La. Do you see how fast the police found the guy? Only because it has to do with them directly. Eli Klim from Kobo Mountains. Good morning, team. Well done to the Ghana police for acting swiftly on this incident. However, what's the new information on the police bullion van robbery? Charlie, people are not giving the police any slack. I think we as a society should also do a little analysis of issues before spreading them around. When this thing came up, I listened to it for about a minute and I said, the audio is a deliberate work of someone who just wants to cause confusion. I listened just about a quarter of the audio. 2, the person introduced himself by a title. Only scammers do that, unless someone here knows Dr. Asiedu personally. 3, he indicated that it's been a while, meaning that this is what he does. 4, his English and the story does not sound coherent enough. 5, he couldn't tell us who his brother is by name. His brother and his boys know. Sounds like a gang. If none of us knows Dr. Asiedu personally, and with the statement from the Ghana police, we should throw the whole thing away. It may be a scam as usual. A lot of procedural inaccuracies in the whole story. The guy is a liar, forget about this. The junk food era has spoiled us. Critical thinking should be taught as a core in all schools. David from Tuba. I wanted to make a comment on this. Why do people circulate audios that
I'm not sure about?
Yes, I think, Sky, you should also educate us on that maybe later on. You see, if you sent me an audio and I know you, or I shouldn't just circulate an audio because there's a voice saying something. Okay, should we not have that responsibility of also saying that you can only circulate an audio that, like if you hear Bernard Avle on the Citi Breakfast Show discussing something with Godfrey and you circulate it, it's public discussion. But if somebody called Dr. Alowski sitting somewhere just says something, and then you also just circulate it, are you also not responsible for spreading false news?
You see, so the section that I read, the law, in my respectful view, appears to impose that responsibility. That even where it is somebody who has sent you that file, and you are tempted to believe the content, the law imposes a requirement that you should take reasonable steps to verify the authenticity before you forward.
A lot of our aunties will be in trouble. Because on their family platforms, Charlie, the aunties, they forward.
Yeah, because every subsequent forward is new publication.
I'm sure if we did a vote for everybody's favorite forwarding auntie, oh my God. Hey! Conspiracy theories. Something has happened somewhere. Yes. Some people have gone to bring some food from China, and there are some Charlie Basa.
And then when you question it, they say,
the young people, you don't know this is true. If I saw that one, I was going to say, I've heard this thing, I've got to be careful. People are bad.
No, it's true.
No, God bless our mothers and our aunties. They are strong. All right, it's time for taking social media trends. It's brought to us by Vodafone, Further Together, and Carl Bank. Daniel, what's trending?
Yeah, the Ghana police, of course, is in the trends. You guys have discussed. Me, what baffles me is when the police interrogated him according to their release, and he says it happened to somebody. So why will you come and put your, like it happened to you? Now he has poured the matter for all of us.
Yeah, but you see, what he's saying there would seem to be some confession, and the law again imposes some responsibilities on the police on this matter. Who was there when he was making the claim about it happened to somebody and all of that?
I think the police lies are too many.
But Sky is right. The police cannot be the only person telling us this.
The story,
Some independent person must also be there to say this is true.
Who is his lawyer? Who was there as an independent witness to verify that he did
because the police can... Hey, Master, talk through.
You're pretty fool. Come on, lose down. Go inside.
Auntie is true, Mom. In the trends.
Sorry, we should be laughing about these things.
We apologize. Also in the trends, Bob Marley is trending.
Why?
Because something big has happened to Ghana music.
Oh, I see. What's happening?
Oh, probably the biggest thing.
New album?
Sarkodie. It's on the official remake of Bob Marley's track, Stir It Up.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Stir It Up.
Yeah.
They've done official remake.
Official remake. It's coming out.
There's a rap inside?
There's a rap inside.
Wow. Hey, Stir It Up.
You choose any rapper in the world, but Sarkodie in Ghana.
Stir It Up. Is it out already?
No, it's coming tomorrow.
It will be nice,
It will be nice, Rob. They drop some small snippets.
You know the bass lines in Stir It Up. If you want to learn how to play the bass guitar, you should use it.
You should use that song, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. I may even play it today.
No, you should play it.
Stir It Up.
No, you should play it.
Is it part of a project or something?
We are not sure. It was just they just dropped the snippet and announced that
we'll get more details tomorrow.
We'll get more details.
Tomorrow. They do everything.
Big up landlord.
You do all.
The interesting thing is that a couple of months ago, Posy G, one of his producers, said he was going to bring he was working on a project with somebody bigger than Jay-Z, and people laughed.
They didn't know there was anybody.
They didn't know there was anybody bigger than Jay-Z.
But Marley is bigger every day.
Every day. Is it Beyonce? It can't be Beyonce. Is it Kanye? It cannot be Kanye. But Marley has dropped. The landlord indeed. Yeah. Black Sheriff is also trending.
What's happening?
Yeah, he settled the medical bills of some mothers who were unable to pay after being discharged at the Rich Hospital. Then he also provided them with some food, toiletries.
He's doing all the right things.
Yeah. Blacko.
He's doing all the right. Let's hope he continues.
Yeah.
You should stay focused.
He's a conscious boy.
You should stay focused.
Conscious guy.
Because when you're on the path to greatness, there are very many diversions.
Oh, yeah.
You should stay focused and do his work.
One is bolding too. Casemiro is in the trends.
Charlie.
Man United 2 is trending.
I saw an article that claimed, sometimes media can be very something. So they interviewed Rio Ferdinand about the two best midfielders in the league. And they're talking about Partey and Casemiro. And then they were basically saying that both of them are very good and very important for their teams. But then Rio Ferdinand said when it comes to defensive contribution, Casemiro then trumps Partey because he wipes. Basically saying that Casemiro's defensive numbers are better than Partey's, but offensively they are similar. But the headline was like, Rio Ferdinand says Casemiro wipes Partey on the floor. So it suggested like just a Partey cannot cope. But that wasn't the real issue. He was basically saying there are two very important DMs for their teams. Although he thinks that defensively, what Casemiro represents for Man U is more than what Partey means for Arsenal defensively. You see the angle?
Yeah.
But they've twisted the thing to say that Charlie, Casemiro, they finish Partey.
Yeah.
They do that.
No, but Partey
and this is international media.
Shock.
This is not Ghana media.
They are playing games.
They should stop that.
They should stop.
Stop the life.
Yeah, me, I prefer Partey.
Any day.
All day, every
any
day.
week. Casemiro has that about babyface assassin.
He's a troublesome boy.
He's a Casemiro's face, it looks like some dadaba. The guy they play wicked pass. He'll beat you right now.
They play jackass.
No, they call it Awi. Awi is
he'll beat you right now. It's not a joke. Yeah, he's been suspended, so he'll not play against Arsenal on Sunday. And the coach says that the first time they beat Arsenal, he wasn't there, so they can do it again. Tell him to be serious. Tell him to be serious.
But Arsenal will beat Man U.
Easy.
Arsenal will beat Man U.
Me, I'm going.
Oh, you don't want to say anything?
No.
But Arsenal will win the league.
No, but it's true. Arsenal win the league.
We, the disappointed Liverpool fans, now we
are congregating around Arsenal.
We,
to support.
Okay, by a Man City, hello, Man U, let's say Arsenal. No, one fair fasting and prayer for Arsenal. Because if Man U win the league, we are dead. So the league must stay in London.
Arsenal.
It must not move.
It must stay in London. And I want to invite Chelsea to join. This is our noble cause.
Very well, I will join you.
Segment brought to you by Cal Bank. Is the season to stay connected. Reactivate your Cal Bank holiday account season and get more value. Get free access to our short code service *771# CalNet and Cal app when you reactivate your Cal account between now and the end of the month. You can also call us toll free on 0800 500 500 or chat with us online on our social media platforms and on WhatsApp. Cal Bank, forward together. Meanwhile, the Vodafone One Ghana promo is here. With just one Ghana CD, you can have 20 minutes talk time to all other networks, 1 gig of data every day between 5 and 11:59. Simply dial *530# and subscribe and enjoy longer conversations and browsing. Wake up to great value every morning. Vodafone, further together. Citi TV owned produced drama series is available on YouTube. Now, can you guess the title of the first episode for season 2? No, it's derived from one of your favorite expressions. Yes, that the title. No, I know you like saying that thing a lot.
Oh, really? You're a big man.
No, not that one. It's something you say when you look at the governance and the things they do.
Governance?
Yeah, the governance and the things they do.
Is it completely unacceptable?
No. Your mind is going too far. Don't go too far.
Oh.
It's titled Monkey They Work, Baboon They Chop. Yeah, Monkey They Work, Baboon They Chop. You know, one man no chop. But what is even worse is when monkey they work. Baboon talanku for the side they chop. Okay, Mr. Uche. So the first episode of season 2 of The Hairdressers, which is a CCTV produced drama series, is available on YouTube. So just search for Citi Tube. And we are making inroads into the drama production stage. Oh yes. You know, when it comes to things that we show and things that we depict on TV, there's not everything that you have to import. You have to produce it yourself too. And I'm telling you that this second season is much more exciting than the first season of The Hairdressers. So go online if you want to watch another episode. Episode 1 is available on Citi Tube. All right, so let's come back to the law. Let me just read a few more comments and I'll come to you. Hi, Bernard. Cocaine 10 cocaine from police headquarters some time ago. Trust is very, very important in everything, and therefore the police must do the right thing all the time. We go from Accra. Dear CBS, on the fake tape issue, it is also possible that the guy was staging his own version of something that actually happened. Very possible. This is from Sid K. Hello, guys. Kindly advise on what a citizen should do when a search is being conducted on their car. Yes, Sky will do that. Bernard, please. In fact, there's even a show, a question of law episode on this, which I probably have to retrieve. Guys, if you can repost the question of law, I think that episode was Kelly and Albert. They did an episode on you and the police. I think it was Clement or Selim, I'm not sure. But Safwa, if you are listening to me, find that episode for me. They delved deeply into what you should do when the police meet you, your rights when the police officer calls you, all of those things. They were dealt with on the question of law, which shows on CCTV as well. And there's a new series coming as well for that, and I'm going to tell you about that later on. Bernard, please, we should not rule out mental health on this case. The guy may need help. I said that earlier. Because, to be able to describe
such a thing
in actuality with details, such an annotated fashion, if it really did not happen, then maybe he needs to be talking to my friend Dr. Delali Fiagbe, just to be sure that everything is... You know, Delali Fiagbe gave me some very interesting scenario of some of the conditions. Just, if there's a chair here, that everybody sits in and nothing happens. But when you alone sit in the chair, you are seeing things. Or you alone sit in the chair, it means something else. It means we have to further prove whether there are other issues there. So it's well possible that maybe this guy could have some issues as well.
I'm sure if the police are minded to prosecute during that, the court would do the...
And a few more people are still saying that we should not lambast the guy in the audio until we have heard his side of the story.
Yeah, that's true.
But his side of the story
is what was aired.
Yeah, but you see, the caution is that the police have come out to tell us that he virtually admitted that what he said was untrue, that he was quoting somebody else, or the thing happened to somebody else, from what you read.
Yes.
So the issue is, who was there when he was making these comments? Because the law says that when you are dealing with a suspect or an accused person,
he must have a lawyer present.
Yes, he is entitled to a lawyer of his choice. Of course, there are requirements of the law. There are circumstances under which that may not even apply because of certain impositions by the law. But then also the law further imposes a requirement that there should be an independent witness. That independent witness, when you are dealing with matters of confession. So if what he is saying suggests that he is confessing to having committed a crime, the question would then be, at the time they were questioning him, or when he was confessing, was there? Yeah, that's right.
And under which condition was that confession extracted?
Exactly. Because it's not enough for us to hear the plea. The
police cannot be a judge in their own court.
Exactly. It is important that that other side.
So if it was like a case between two people, and then the police came and said, the one has said that he is confessed between two people, that's different. But because he's accusing the police, the police being
he did not accuse just the police. He accused the police.
Yeah.
He accused the narcotics control.
Yes.
He accused the military. Because there was a fight. He said there was a fight between the military and the police over this. They took him to the narcotics place where they took his fingerprints and all those things.
Yeah.
It's a pretty, there are a lot of institutions
involved.
But
my question is, so what should we do? So this is something on social media we are discussing in the news. How do we ascertain the facts? So is it a press conference where the police brings the suspect? Or is it the police subjecting themselves for interviews? So maybe Fred, you want to call the police first to talk to them on this? Because the public is very skeptical.
Yeah.
So even though the police have said the guy is lying and nobody has any evidence to the contrary, there is still some skepticism because the police seem to be selective in how they deal with issues. So I'm not sure if it's the police who have to now come out with more evidence to show that the guy has actually confessed, or whether they have to have some forum or pips. I don't know.
You see, I think all these things will play out eventually if the police decide to prosecute. Because when they go to court, they will go with evidence that the guy did A, B, and C.
Okay.
Our concern at this stage is the likelihood sometimes where the police do things they ought not do ordinarily, which create problems for policing generally, because we've had instances where people did not confess, they are dragged to court, and the impression is created that they confessed, and then all kinds of things happen, and their rights get undermined at the end of the day. So for purposes of clarity, it will be important, perhaps, the police should hold a press conference. How was he arrested? Who was there when he was being interrogated? Did he have access to a lawyer? And these things would have to be cleared so that we have a clarity as to exactly what happened.
Because this is very interesting. They've arrested some gentleman, they've covered his face, and they say he is called Asiedu. So we don't even know if there's a Dr. Asiedu, and they claim it's an Uber driver. So, I mean, you could even say they could just pick one of their old existing criminals and put his picture. My point is, when you are dealing with public issues and public trust, there are certain things you must do for transparency to proceed. Do you get me? So issuing statements, look, we have police press corps, I think. There are some, most media houses will have somebody who covers the police. Maybe they should call them into a press conference and say, look, let them systematically question the police, for the police to convince them that this is, because the public reserves the right to disbelieve what the police are saying.
Yeah, that's true.
And the police have not granted us any interview to you can't just send out a statement, and I'm not saying the police is lying, but you see, trust is earned. The reason people listen to us is because it's been a years of consistent practice. You don't say trust me because I'm wearing a uniform. You understand? You don't say government, trust me because I'm the government. I won't trust you because your track record doesn't show I should trust you. You may have a well-intended IGP, but the behavior of your men on the ground does not mean we should. So I think the police must come out with more clarity. Having said that, I feel we should still go back to the point I wanted you to make earlier. Okay. So your point is that you cannot just stop somebody and say you are searching them.
Yeah.
I want you to use law to back that point.
Okay. So again, let me go back to the this time around relying on the Criminal Procedure and Juvenile Justice Act of Ghana, and I'm interested particularly, of course. There are preceding sections that deal with how an arrest should be made, what the police must do when they are arresting, and all of that. And then again, if you go to Section 92, for instance, it deals with matters having to do with a warrant, who should issue the warrant, it should be directed at, where it is enforceable, and all of that. Basically, a warrant is an order from a court saying that, okay, Bernard has done A, B, C, D, the police should arrest and produce him. And it is enforceable on any day, at any place of the choosing. And it is enforced until after the court decides that, okay, we are rescinding it. So if an order is issued by a court today, it remains in force until, it is either effected or the court says that, okay, we have withdrawn it. But specifically dealing with matters of searches, which is what has brought this matter to the fore. Because if you listen to the gentleman, he claimed that he was stopped by a police officer or a group of police officers. The police conducted a search of the vehicle. And in the process of conducting the said search, they allegedly planted a substance or substances considered or suspected to be narcotics. And then in the process, they engaged him. They wanted to collect 20,000 Ghana cedis from him. That was his allegation. And he suspected foul play and then called his brother. His brother, a military officer, came to the scene because he had sent his location, live location to the gentleman, the military officer. He came to the scene together with a group of his boys. They engaged the police officers. Eventually, it turned out that the police officers were lying, and then they started begging. But they reported that they took the matter to the police. They went to conduct print identification and all of that. And the police apparently staged the whole thing. So that was how the police acted on it.
Very detailed.
Very detailed. I mean, if you listen to the thing, you would think that this guy, the thing actually happened to him. So the question is, my position, respectfully, is that the police cannot just jump one day, be in the middle of the road, and start stopping vehicles, saying, get down, let me check the vehicle. It is wrong. It is a breach of privacy of the person who is in the vehicle or using the vehicle, because the law imposes specific requirements. I note the work done by Sami Dako much earlier on this particular matter when Umaru Sanda was similarly stopped, hauled out of his vehicle, or they attempted to haul him out.
Disrespectful and aggressive.
Exactly. And they decided that they were going to conduct a search of the vehicle. Now, what does the law say, respectfully? Now, if you go to Section 93 of the act I referred to earlier, which is the Criminal Procedure and Juvenile Justice Act of Ghana, Section 93 says that, subsection 1, where a police officer has a reasonable cause to believe an article, A, which has been stolen or unlawfully obtained, or B, in respect of which a criminal offense has been or is about to be committed, is being conveyed, is concealed or being carried on a person in a public place, or is concealed or contained in a package in a public place, for the purpose of being conveyed, the police officer may, where the exigencies of the case so require, without a warrant or written authority, arrest, seize and search that person, package or article. May, that's right. Now, subsection 2 says that a police officer who arrests a person, conducts a search or seizure, may take possession of and detain an article together with a package containing it, and may also arrest a person conveying, concealing, or carrying the article. Now, what is the thrust of the two subsections that I've read? The law is saying that before a police officer in the line of duty acts in the manner described by the law, there has to be what? Reasonable cause to believe that something wrong has been done. So, for instance, if Bernard, you let's assume that in a particular area, let's say Trazaco Valley, then you see some gentleman driving a vehicle, a Hummer. That's right, and you had received information, for instance, from someone who had called earlier over the police communications systems and said that, okay, a Hummer had, just hit someone or killed somebody.
And
running away. Or I saw someone in a Hummer pull a gun at ABCD person. Or I saw a group of people smoking weed in a Hummer at, say, School Junction. And the Hummer is so described. If a police officer, if you see such a Hummer or you see any Hummer at all fitting that description,
you can stop the Hummer.
At that point, you have reasonable cause to believe that that is the Hummer that
So the key word is reasonable cause.
Reasonable cause.
All right.
Sometimes, you see, a police officer can arrest you where he himself suspects that you have committed a crime.
All right.
In other words, let's say you are walking in an area holding, say, a crowbar. That area is Trazaco. Ordinarily, at midnight, say 12 p.m.
Crowbar is not something you hold and walk about with.
That's right. So in that case, the police is entitled to arrest you because he has reasonable suspicion that you may be committing a crime, or you are about to commit a crime, or you have actually committed a crime.
Okay.
And another illustration would be, say, for instance, you are driving a vehicle, and then somehow someone had called the police. Or maybe they didn't even call the police at all. The police just saw the vehicle and realized that, okay, there are blood stains all over the vehicle. The police is entitled at that point, without relying on the warrant, to stop the vehicle and make the necessary inquiries, which would include searches, because in this case, there is reasonable suspicion or there's reasonable cause to believe that you may have used the vehicle to commit a crime. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
So that is just one. And then also, when they go into the process of searching the vehicle, there are specific procedures as to how that should be done. And Bernard, let me take you searches per the guideline that was issued by the police administration themselves. And search without a warrant, and then Section 8 deals with search of an arrested person. I'll come to that much later. For now, we are dealing with a vehicle. The police guideline basically says, and Bernard, bear with me, so vehicles and building searches, GPS, this is Ghana Police Service, they are the directive that they issue. It is SP 00915. The guidelines say that, for instance, guidelines for conducting vehicle searches. 1, a vehicle must be located out of other vehicular traffic. In other words, there must be a vehicular traffic. You cannot just see Bernard emerge and then move immediately and say that, Bernard, I am coming to, search your vehicle. Do you understand what I'm saying? The second one says that the area must be secured and all suspects must be under control. In other words, you must suspect the people in the vehicle that they have done A, B, C, D. You don't just get up and do it. And then the call for backup must be done to assist when necessary. So, for instance, if you say that the vehicle has blood stains all over it, and then you decide that, okay, you want to conduct a search to be sure of what may or may not have happened to the vehicle, and the people are resisting that and they are proving violent,
all right,
where necessary, you are entitled as a police officer to call for reinforcement so that they come and, ensure that there is protection of life and property in that case. D says any crowd that has gathered must be under control. E says an officer should search at any given time. And F says that additional police personnel must be available to assist and maintain control.
There are very detailed procedures about how to go through this.
Exactly.
But I think the key point you're saying is there has to be some reasonable suspicion. So you are saying that there cannot just be random. The police cannot randomly just stop you
and say that I am searching your vehicle. Yeah, that's right. If the moment you do that, you are intruding.
Can they preemptively say that they are doing, maybe they are in Kwabena, and there have been reports of robberies in the past few weeks. So this week, they are doing patrol. And the patrol procedure includes maybe random searches of vehicles just to... I'm just trying to make space for that. Not like, so maybe there's a broader concern about security in a particular area. So they've moved to the area to do a patrol. Can they not, in that patrol, then randomly search cars as part of a general concern about security? Instead, do you understand? So that they have 200 cars on the road. They stop car 1, they stop car 6, they stop car 12. So it's not because you've done anything, but they just want to... I don't know what you
see. That is where there will be breach of discretion or abuse of discretion. Because look, the police is given discretion. In fact, if you go to the previous sections of the act, we deal with this what they call it, arrest. The police has discretion to decide when to and when not to arrest. Because there are times that you can see people committing a crime, but the police will not arrest because the moment you arrest a person, you put lives at risk. Because perhaps you are just one officer and then you are in a certain area notorious for committing all manner of crimes. And then you see someone committing a crime and you want to arrest the person. And you know that when you do that, the police will beat you up or destroy quite a number of, property. In that case, the police is given the discretion to say that, okay, I'll deal with this particular matter later. You understand? So what I'm saying is that discretion should not be abused. Yes, you have the discretion to effect an arrest when you have reasonable cause to believe that a crime is about to be committed or is likely to be committed or has been committed. You understand? But you cannot just get up, see Bernard's car, and just say that, let me stop Bernard and search him.
So what if his car is a DV car? The police seem to have a special liking for DV cars.
Okay,
so is the DV plate a reasonable cause for suspicion.
You see, so the DV in this case, the law imposes a requirement as to who should use it and how it should be used and during what period it should be used. So if you are not someone who deals in cars and you are going to sell the car to, say, Bernard Avle, Bernard is seated in the vehicle, and then you see him, okay, Bernard, yes, I'll see you driving DV. Where's your license for selling cars? If you don't have one or you don't have a business in the area of
so when there's a DV, there could be a reasonable basis.
Yeah, that's right. Because the police at that point may believe that there's something wrong.
Because I noticed that when we are driving, usually they will stop the DV cars.
Yes.
Or they stop the guys with tinted windows.
Yeah, because in that case, the law says that the window should be
Or
clear.
they stop people in Mercedes Benz. So it's like
Mercedes Benz.
I don't know why.
Like, just stop Mercedes Benz.
Like usually when you are driving, and I observe. So usually DV will be stopped.
I can explain.
Tinted window will be stopped. And if it's a tinted window, DV Mercedes Benz, they will stop you.
I can explain the Mercedes Benz phenomenon for you.
Why did they stop Mercedes Benz?
See, because the police also monitor trends. The Mercedes Benz has become what the Toyota Camry and Corolla used to be for a certain section of our society. I don't want to label people.
Okay.
So if you follow the trends now, you realize that there are a lot of Mercedes Benz in the system.
Is it what the Sakawa boys are using?
Yes, Hondas.
So the police are suspecting that if you are in a Mercedes Benz,
yes, and then also there's also a high incidence of, and because Sky deals in cars, you know about this. There's a high incidence.
Why are you? No,
high incidence. You know, Sky likes cars.
Yes, he likes a lot of cars.
There's a high incidence of illegal importation of those cars. There are a lot of complaints around that.
In fact,
think two or
last
three
week there was a story about Yoko saying
they seized a lot of those cars. Yes.
So that could also qualify for the reasonable.
Yes. So they do a lot.
Let's come back to something. It's 8:37. Let me just do your money quickly, and then I'll come back to this discussion. And listeners, I want you to help us because Sky is basically trying to paint a picture that random stoppage is really not to be the norm. It has to be reasonable. All right. But let's talk about your money. Your money is brought to you by CBG. We stand with you. Now I have a very powerful quote for you this morning, and I know you like it. And Sky, this quote, I know you like it. It says, if your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children.
Wow.
Confucius.
Wow.
So this is Confucius says, if your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. And if your plan is for 100 years, educate children.
Now that's deep.
Yeah,
that's deep. I mean, that's a man clearly wiser than us.
See what I'm dressing. See what I'm dressing. This is deep.
It's so deep.
If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children.
So education, yeah.
No, that is we've settled the matter.
Money don't get everything it's due. What it don't get, I can use.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Empowering your team to work smart, save time, and deliver insight from data using the world's most powerful business tools, Microsoft Excel, and Power BI. In fact, a lot of the things you're saying, there are data analytics tools that can analyze things like that. So, what's the frequency of stopping cars? What kind of cars are being stopped at what time and why? Data analytics can help even make you a more effective lawyer, make you a more effective journalist, a more effective engineer. Now, Finex Skills Hub is offering hands-on practical training to corporates and individuals in Excel for work, data analytics, and financial modeling to help you improve your productivity at the office. Now, you can go to finexskillshub.com. Once a week training, Sky. Data analytics and law. You'll be a big man there. Call 0244 782 356 to sign up. That's 0244 782 356. Sign up for our corporate and individual training sessions to become a master of data analytics. Can also provide you a new job for those who want to transition. Don't forget, on Effective Living Series today, we are talking about making career transitions. My guest will be speaking about that as well. And of course, losing a loved one stops you in your tracks and leaves you shaking. And in those trying times, you need a partner you can count on. That's where Lashibi Funeral Homes come in. Lashibi Funeral Homes and Crematorium have your back when you need it most. From picking your loved one through the burial or cremation to funeral reception, we will guide you through the unfamiliar terrain of selecting products and services you need to ensure your loved one has a fitting send-off. Contact Lashibi Funeral Homes on 0509 542 409. That's 0509 542 409, or email info@lashibifuneralhomes.com, or simply go to their website lashibifuneralhomes.com for more information. Lashibi Funeral Homes, dignity for the deceased, comfort for the bereaved. You know, when I was very young, in I think class 4 or 5, I had a book called First Aid in English, and they were trying to distinguish between deceased and bereaved. It was so confusing at the time. I didn't know the difference. You know, do you know the deceased and the bereaved?
As in the deceased
and
the dead person.
Yeah, and the bereaved.
The bereaved is the person, the people who are suffering.
The thing used to confuse me a lot. The deceased versus bereaved.
Yeah.
You know, but now it's easy to understand. So the deceased,
because now
the deceased is dead.
Yeah, the
bereaved is alive.
Yeah, that's right.
In the past, it was not easy for me to understand. But Lashibi is saying that they provide comfort for the bereaved. And dignity for the deceased.
Yeah, that's the distinction.
I think it makes sense, right? Yeah. Fantastic. And for those who want to experience something exhilarating, educative, and worthwhile, I really want to recommend the Heritage Caravan.
Yep.
It's between the 4th and 11th of March. I've been on it twice, and I can tell you, it's the best thing I've done, among the best things I've done in that period. Journeying across the country, visiting tourist sites, sitting on a bus for 7 days, 13 or 14 regions, meeting very, very interesting people, diverse kinds of, people. I have a guy on my bus, he came from one university in the US to just take 1 week off. People are doing their honeymoon by coming on the caravan. Some people have retired, or some kids have bought tickets for their parents, for their birthday gift, all kinds of things.
Wow.
You know, and we become a big family traveling across the country, experiencing Ghana in a unique way. There's nothing like it. If you want to be part of the 2023 caravan, there's an early bird offer. Call now, 0205 973 973. Register for the caravan today. Powered by Citi TV with support from Citi FM. Proudly sponsored by Hollard Ghana, the EU, Malta Guinness, and Ebony Condoms. And quickly, ECG has noticed with great concern the uncontrolled activity of bush burners. They are just burning bushes with no consideration for the environment. Now, this uncontrolled setting of fires to bushes is also affecting the ECG network, resulting in outages and inconveniences to our customers. Now, ECG reserves the right to seek legal redress against offenders whose activities destroy our installations. So please help ECG serve you better. Go to ecg.com.gh for more information. I'll read a few more comments. So, Sky, you've made a couple of points on what the police rights are. You've also explained that in the case of DV, there seems to be some reasonable cause. But is that not framing? Because is that not what's the word they use in America, Seth? Is that not profiling? So, for example, if an American policeman says, I stopped you because you are black, because 6 out of 10 criminals happen to be black people. Now, somebody can say it's racial profiling, which it is, but the police will say, oh, there's a lot of the people who commit crimes in this area are black people, so I want to check if you are not committing a crime. All right, so that's racial profiling. Now, I'm bringing that to say Mercedes-Benz cars or Toyota Corollas. So the police see a certain kind of car and then they stop you. So there are 10 cars in a row. Because I am driving a Mercedes Benz and I'm young, or because I have dreadlocks, right? So the police are looking for somebody to catch. We are in a queue going. I mean, there are some very decent people with dreadlocks. In fact, a lot of dreadlocks people I know are very decent. They are even more conscious than we, the bald heads. That's true. Then the police will stop the dreadlock guy, say they want to check his car for weed. Then they'll say, we want to check your hair. So where do you draw the line between using certain external things to reasonably suspect something versus just abusing people's rights?
Okay, so the test is that the suspicion in this case should not be fanciful. Do you understand? Fanciful suspicion that, because you are a Rasta man, you are likely to carry weed. That's the law frowns upon that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Jah will never give the power to a borders. Because you come and crucify the dread.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Just because the man is carrying dread, you assume that he has weed. The law frowns upon that. At the time you were...
I'm sure they are aware of this.
You see, it's...
I mean the police.
The people have this, because as for the social and cultural profiling, they are doing it.
It's wrong because the man is entitled to do his hair, wear dreads if he so wishes. And mind you, it is not all Rastas who wear dreads. There are Rastas who don't wear dreads.
I'm a bald-head Rasta man.
That's right.
Yeah,
you believe in the cause of Rastas, so you are conscious.
Yes.
But you go Rastafarian, as in by way of wearing dreads.
And the name is Rastafari.
Yeah, if you believe that, look, you need dreads to carry on with what
so
you're
it's also profiling.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
not reasonable.
It's not reasonable. You must have reasonable cause. There must be something that leads you to the conclusion that a crime is about being committed, or has been committed, or is likely to be committed.
Yeah.
Where you don't satisfy that requirement, you cannot just get up and say that, Bernard is wearing Rasta, so he must be carrying.
Let me read a comment for you. Bernard, what this country needs is the decriminalization of weed. That's the solution to all this nonsense. Possession of small amounts, and the keyword is small amounts, that are clearly for personal use should not provide the opportunity for the police to practice criminal extortion. you know, there was a day we played a song called Ganja Farmer.
Yeah, the police came.
The police came and said, hey, Charlie, people, you respect for the law. This song,
really?
Yes. They said they beg us. The song we are playing is promoting weed. So we should stop. I'm a ganja planter. So we quickly just put another song in the system.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That you see that the social and cultural connotations of that connection between if you smoke marijuana, then naturally you are unkempt or your hair looks a certain way. It's existed in how we were brought up. When your parents see you talking to your colleague who has unkempt, how many we only we phone and okay. I'm sorry, but I'm sure I'm told. That's what my parents say. You cannot have a friend whose hair is a bit twisted. Hey, I mean, there's a problem in your life.
Your hair some way crash. They
might lock you in the church. They might lock you in the church for 3 days.
So they don't tell you this hairstyle in this household.
And that kind of upbringing, I think, has fed into the orientation of the service also in the sense that as soon as then hair like this, there's something there.
But let me digress. Is this the time to talk about marijuana and the benefits for the economy and also recreational use? Because there's a whole industry around marijuana, and I've heard people say that this blanket ban of marijuana is actually depriving us of foreign exchange because there are legitimate use cases and there's a big market for it. And the thing seems to grow very well because the police will go to like some town in the Volta region and go and burn the whole wee farm. Charlie, and then when they burn the wee farm and you swear the thing they are burning, so is it that should we? I don't know. Maybe later you need to educate me on the law on marijuana and why we criminalize it, and whether there's no space for some flexibility there.
You see, the fear of folks who believe that we should keep the law the way it is, as in criminalize it, is that we don't seem to have the systems to regulate its use.
Okay.
You understand? So, elsewhere, the law allows for recreational use. and then also
small.
Yeah, that's right. So for recreational purposes. So small
for medical.
Health,
Okay.
or for medical.
So should we start with the medical one, where a doctor says, because of your condition, of you.
Yeah.
And they will prescribe it in a different form. Is that something we can live with, or once you open that kind of worms, you can't close it?
Yeah, I think that I've not researched that area of the law, but I think that there should be a provision for that within the Ghanaian context, where it is properly prescribed by
a certified medical doctor.
Then you go to a legal shop.
So
is there a legal shop that sells it?
For instance,
not here.
So if a doctor prescribes medical marijuana for a treatment of a specific case, there's no. So
in Ghana,
you can't go and buy it.
In Ghana,
yes,
as we speak, it's illegal.
Yeah, that's right.
In all its forms,
but no. But you see, there are times that you go to the NACOB. It's not an authority.
Narcotic control. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And get the appropriate license.
Oh, okay.
That's
to
right.
either sell it or to buy it,
or maybe conduct research into it. People use it for their hair products and all kinds of things.
Okay.
So the commerce around it is taking other countries elsewhere. So the discussion is, should we move in that direction? And recently, Parliament passed an amendment to the original act, which some people say was sort of creating room for commercial production and for export.
Okay.
But, as I understand it, the Supreme Court intervened and said that the whole process, how Parliament got to pass the law and how it was done and all of that.
Okay.
It was
Let's go back to the police, though. I'll come back. My question to the police is, when they set up a police barrier at East Legon or Lakeside or Kakasunaka at 10 p.m., and they flash torchlight in people's faces, and then they decide who should go and who should pass, how often do they actually catch criminals? I'm asking this because you and I seem to know some of the places where criminal activity seems to happen. There are places you cannot walk in the day in Accra with your phone in your pocket. There are places at night you can't go. Why doesn't the police go there? Why do they go and mount up a search at Ajingano, not far from Rollins' house, and be flashing torchlight in people's faces? Is it that they randomly map out the town to choose where they want? Because if you ask 10 random listeners which part of Accra that criminals are hiding, I'm sure they can tell you.
Yes, they
so
can.
My question to them is, why don't they deploy their resources to those places? Why do they come to town? Like somebody's driving to Oyarifa or is driving to Frafra. He's tired. It's 10 p.m. Then you set up a barrier at night and then you are just flashing torchlight in their face. If I'm a criminal, will I sit in a private car that I'm going home at 10 p.m. and wait to come and see and say, hello, how far? I'm going home. Carry on. Like, is that really? I want to understand the logic of that in relation, because you don't have enough police people. Why don't you go to places that criminals hide and go and catch them?
You see, but there's also the other side of that. There's a saying in our language that fiafitoma duna yamavu. Ela benade nunyode anyigbaole.
Criminals don't fly airlines.
That's right, because
aircraft.
Yeah, the good things that they would want to steal ideally are on the ground. That's not to say that you can't find good things in the air, but majority of the times, if you want to steal something properly so-called and it is of serious value, you find it on earth, which is on the ground. So the question is, if the person, I don't want to use a particular community because it would then stereotype. Let's say that you are in community A. And it is a slum of some kind, and it is notorious
as a criminal hideout.
Exactly. Are you going to find things there to steal? And what?
So your point is they have to go to places where the people. Okay.
So you move to an area where you have, say, for instance, the middle class or maybe the wealthy, where you are likely to target house A or house B, come out with $1 million cash, or maybe
instead of just going to hide. But Pascal is still low.
But you see, it is how the police are doing the search that creates the problem. Because ordinarily, Bernard is going home at say 10 p.m. after a hard day's work. Why should you stand there and be pointing torchlight into his face, and say, "Oh, Massa, your boys are here"? You see,
your boys are here.
It's wrong.
It's terrible.
So they are abusing the uniform. They are abusing the rights they have. They are abusing the authority they have. That is not what they should be doing.
So whilst I'm saying this, if the police believe we don't understand their procedure and they want to explain, I'm very happy to hear them out. If they feel there is a logic to the way they go about their policing in terms of these checkpoints and these random checks, let me know. The other question I have is, so they want to check your license, they want to check your whatever. I mean, are those the biggest problems if you don't have enough police people in the country? Do you go to where middle class people are and start asking people for their driving license, whether they have triangle? And I mean, those things are important too. But if you don't have all the resources in the world, is that the most efficient use of your resources? But is checking people's, I mean, you get me? Are there not more important things to be checking?
Again, I'm dealing with purely observation, okay, and in this sense, and with that is the MTTD, because they are the ones who will stop you. But
sometimes non-MTTD guys also come and do the searches.
Yes, but they are the ones who do. No, MTTD don't do searches. MTTD are the ones who will stop you for what you're
asking. They say they are doing operation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's differentiate the two. The MTTD ones they'll stop you for what you just mentioned.
But the operation people too ask.
Oh, for a triangle. The operations people ask you for a triangle.
Police officer. We haven't met a hungry operations police.
Hey, Mama. If you produce triangle, you will say, where's your cutlass?
Master, you live in Dansomano.
No, for that's what I'm saying.
That driving outside Accra.
No, Bernard, you'll be shocked.
Cape Coast, we are going to Cape Coast. Bernard, the number of police checkpoints you meet.
Bernard, between leaving.
It's like having competition.
Bernard,
it's like I didn't hear the other.
No, Bernard, that's just. Let me make a point.
Yes.
If you leave here, between here and the Graphic Road, there are 2 police checks at the traffic light.
Okay.
You will see policemen on your right, MTTD. On your left, there's the visibility unit with rifles. They stop motorbikes.
Yeah.
It's an operation that has been going on since November. They haven't stopped. Any motorbike that will try to use that industrial area side, they will stop you. And they will check your license.
This is the MTTD people.
No, this one is the ones with the guns.
We don't have any argument against that.
Yeah,
we are saying you are going to Cape Coast and you meet 11 checkpoints.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Between me going to Dansoman, I will meet them at the Zongo Junction.
Okay.
Now, if I use the Latebia Zoti Road, I'm most likely to meet a police checkpoint. The MTTD,
no matter what time of day it is,
they come random. They can be there in the morning, they can be there in the afternoon, they can be there in the evening. If you use Kaneshi, if you get to the
basically wherever you pass though.
If you use Kaneshi, they are the market.
They will still stop
on both sides.
Yeah.
When you get to the first light, Accra Junction,
they will stop you.
They are there.
And what are they checking?
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes also depends on what they're looking for. Because for the motorcycle one, I have that's what I'm just telling you what I have observed.
They will stop.
It looks like there is an operation.
Yeah, the motorbike one.
The motorbikes.
We've noticed that obviously some crimes are committed with motorbikes, and the police have been giving their people motorbikes so that they can also preventively prevent them. But what I'm saying is that you are driving to Cape Coast from Accra. Kasua, you meet some. Gomwa Budumburam, you meet one. Whatever junction, like, and they are just there.
But at that time, there were highway robberies too. Those routes are very popular with highway. I'm just telling you. You see, a certain element of it.
Okay.
You see, the fact that they abuse it does not mean that there isn't cause. That is the issue I think we should discuss rather. That there is cause to be there. But then they abuse the cause.
Okay, so it comes back to the balance issue, where individual rights versus preemptive policing, nuisance versus is for your own good. All right, notorious crime routes versus making an inconvenience. I'm going home. I'm tired. It's some things have to. I think your point about discretion is very important here, because there are some things that the law will not tell you. So you can only test whether the person is reasonably using, because no matter what law says, you also expect that the policeman, because of his intelligence, can do certain things. Now, if he begins to use that to extort or to just cause confusion, then you have a problem. And I feel a lot of listeners are saying the police are not using the discretion well. They are using it either to ask us for money or to just harass us because they want to do some things. I mean, you'll be driving somewhere in East Legon Sunday at 11 a.m. Then randomly you see some police car hiding in some corner. Then you see they jump like ninjas. like ninjas. They come. Then when you come, and I don't even know what they are trying to get. So look, let's read some comments and move on. A few takers on the marijuana thing. A few quick comments. Godfrey, if you can help me.
Okay, so good morning, Bernard and team. Okay, we read this one. Just like Bernard said, we don't understand how the police work. They just stop you and want to search. Do you have probable cause to search? Where can I find the police codes and fines? For example, how do I know the fine for driving while talking on the phone? Okay, useful question. With what I have seen and heard about the Ghana Police Service over the years, I'll never take any statements from the police service as the ultimate truth. If the guy also had the platform, he would have put out a different narrative. The police are being opportunists because they have the platform. Get the guy a good lawyer, and the truth shall surely come out. You trust Ghana police at your own peril. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
There are professionals in there.
Yeah, Christopher from Lakeside. Bernard, what's funny is he said he witnessed the police do it to one of his passengers. How does an Uber driver witness this? Did he drive his passenger to his car before the event? How did he witness it? Even the excuse he gave does not add up. Good morning, City team. My name is Tawe Etienne from Lungwa. I think this issue of forwarding messages is becoming rampant. Something happens and you don't even have verified information. The next second you receive and start forwarding to your contacts. I do not forward messages. Sometimes I'll only send it back to those who forwarded it to me. The police still need to be monitored. But who can do that?
Yes, another one from a doctor we know. It says, Bernard, the observations are spot on. The false story about the police is unfortunate. However, I believe this situation does happen. I had a personal experience with this kind of unethical police behavior in East Legon in 2019. I had to place an urgent call to a very senior officer before they backed off. I can share with you the details, but the whole thing was so bizarre. All the best to you and your team. This is somebody I know personally making this claim. A lot of people have said this has happened to them before. Bernard, most of these police people move with the ghetto guys but pretend to have no idea of the positive effects of marijuana. We have to stop being hypocrites and criminalizing we because we have both service personnel and citizens who benefit from it directly and indirectly. The positive aspect is that of it will be more when we criminalize it rather than the current status. When we decriminalize it, than the current status when people sneak to smoke it, including some of the police officers. The future is pregnant. Prince Henry from Koforidua. Okay. All right. Later on, we'll be talking about the Africa Prosperity Dialogues happening in a few days' time. But I wanted to just move to something completely different. Okay. Effective Living Series is in its third week. This is our fourth day, and today's topic, we're going to look at how to make successful career transitions. And I think it's a must listen in my series. One of the interviews I enjoyed the most, Reverend Kweku Foridas is my guest. Effective Living Series is brought to you by Hallmark Freight and Logistics Ghana Limited and Enterprise Insurance. Let's hear that now.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Freight forwarding just got easier. Say goodbye to the days of excuses and disappointments with Hallmark Freight and Logistics Ghana Limited. Our attention to detail prevents customers from ever having to pay demurrage. Our quality and cost-effective services include ocean freight, air freight, customs clearance, logistics, warehousing, project cargo, ex-works, haulage, break bulk, and courier services. Trust us to get your goods from any part of the world delivered to you at your convenience. Have your air freight delivered in less than 24 hours. Sea freight in less than 48 hours and land freight in just 4 hours. Visit our offices on the 4th floor of Allied Heights, Abelempe, or Cargo Village Airport. Call us today on 0302 915 335 or 0501 471 599 or visit our website hallmarkfreightgh.org. Hallmark Freight and Logistics, your trusted and reliable partner.
Fine, anyone can become the house of you.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Contact us on 0555222490. YouGoFlip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Man, I've just been busy these last few weeks. My company has asked me to attend this conference in Canada, scheduled for December of 2022. I submitted my application in March, but I've still not heard back from the immigration office. I don't know where to start. Time is ticking. If only there was someone to check in on my business visa status on my behalf.
If you retain our services at Askia Immigration Consulting Services, we can follow up to ensure the status and quick delivery of your visa application. No matter how busy you are, you you can count on Askia Immigration Consulting Services. Contact Askia Immigration Services on 0241 318890 or 0595 449054 to book appointments and to get assessment of documents. Askia Immigration Services on the 8th floor of the number 1 Airport Square building, Airport City.
I'll take you there.
1xBet. Easy betting, easy winnings. 1xBet, the most reliable service to make deposits easily with high odds and numerous bonuses on the spot. Register now at 1xbet.com.gh. Use promo code BESTODDSGH to get 300% bonus up to 3,445 Ghana cedis on your first deposit. Easy to use, easy to have a chance to win. 1xBet, reliable bookmaker. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is Citi 97.3.
Everywhere I go, everywhere that I've been, the only thing I see is beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people.
Welcome to another edition of the Effective Living series, which is happening here on Citi FM and on Citi TV. This year, our focus is on a starter pack for 2023. We're in our third week, and our focus is on professional priorities. We've been talking about leading self, personal development, and also discussing issues around top skills for 2023. Today, we'll be looking at making successful career transitions. So what is a career transition? Why do people fail in their career transitions? What kind of preparation do you need to succeed? And what are some tips to be nimble and productive in your career? My guest has spent over 20 years of his life working in the corporate world. He's consulted, he's worked in various industries. Now he works for the Lord as a minister of the gospel, where he pastors churches in the UK, in Ghana, and in Pakistan. Reverend Kweku Ofori-Darcy is my guest. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Was there a good summary of who you are?
I think that's fair.
It's interesting. So you did a lot of corporate work, and now you are doing ministry.
Yes.
Ministry work.
Yes.
And your corporate work spanned what sectors?
Finance. I started first in the finance industry, and then to healthcare, and then to technology, and then to government industries, airline.
Wow.
And then what else? Engineering. I think that's to name but a few.
Amazing. And now you're working for the Lord.
I work solely for the Lord.
So do you bring those things into ministry, or you count them as lost?
No, not at all. I actually do. But I do get to also have sessions like these. I speak to corporate sections a lot. I speak in various company events still. But largely, I circle it all back to working in the house of God. So
brilliant. So what is a career transition? Maybe let's start from there.
Career transition is simply the process of making a change in your career. Mm-hmm. And that's literally it. Why should anyone care about it? Because it's important. The way you start any career determines really the degree of success that you're going to gain in it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people fail in it. Many company directors end up complaining after having hired somebody for about maybe 2-3 months. They go, man, we make the wrong decision. So at least the degree to which you can prepare yourself well so you can succeed in it. One, you give your own self a win, and then, of course, the company also gets to win for hiring such a good person like you.
Mm. So when I look at your career, mm-hmm. It's very clear you've made many transitions, and it's almost like you are a work in progress. So it's something you're very familiar to. Was it a conscious, in your own experience, mm-hmm. were you consciously making these transitions, or it's almost iterative, and you sort of reflect and realize that, wow, in 25 years, I've done all of this?
I think it's a bit of both. There was a time where I was sort of just going, mm-hmm. Over some 20 years ago, like many of you, I also did my MBA, finished it, got hired in a company somewhere in the US. Still really didn't know what to do. But at least I had people who would direct me. This is the best way to go this direction, and I followed it. But at some sense, you get to gain some clarity as to, actually, I really like this area better. And then you tend to now build yourself, which is what I did. So it wasn't like I started knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I had to find my way through it. Yeah.
Why do people fail a career transition?
Well, let me first of all start by maybe giving examples of what career transitions are.
Okay.
Career transitions really is anything from, let's say, the stay-at-home mom now wants to return to work, having stayed at home for the last 5-10 years, taking care of the children, but is educated, feels now want to return to work. What does she need to do? It could be a military veteran who now is coming back into civil life, but of course wants to enter the corporate life really to get something done. Let's say an IT professional, or even some of these great cameramen here decide, I want to start a company by myself. These are all career transitions. But I thought that since today is really we're dealing with professional priorities for the year 2023, I want to particularly zoom in on professionals and what career transitions look like for them. So for professionals, largely career transitions will mean things like, say I've just been praying, thank God, I've got a promotion I want, or somehow you've decided to make a change from maybe a particular business unit. Maybe I was in finance, now I want to go to sales. I'm going to become the manager in sales. Or maybe you've moved from one particular city, still in the same organization, but you've moved across to a particular or different region or different city, but in the same organization. And now you're going to have to deal with having to lead people. And then also is the challenge of leading people that were your peers and the challenge that comes with it. You were friends, now you're the boss. And the dynamics of it and how they're going to look at you. So these are sort of examples of career transitions that professionals do go through. I think it's fair to say particularly the people that would largely benefit from what I'm sharing today are going to be, let's say, new managers, people who've just been promoted into new roles, they're new managers, or maybe they're even existing managers or aspiring managers. A lot of what I'll discuss today will benefit them largely, but of course it will be include aspects here and there.
Just listening to you, I can see probably 3 or more broad groups. So clearly there's the reinvention type of things, like not working, coming to work, or military veteran, coming to start corporate life. So it's basically like it's a new green field.
Yes.
Then I see horizontal transition.
Yes.
So I'm in engineering, I want to move into finance. Or I'm into medicine and I really want to go into hospitality.
Yes.
I'm tired of, or I'm in journalism and I want to go into banking.
Fantastic.
Then I see the vertical, which is more like, I used to be a cameraman, I'm now the head of production, and I'm now the production manager. I see. So you're saying, whilst everybody can benefit, the emphasis is more the vertical?
For now, yes. And there will be aspects that will be beneficial really across board, but I want to focus more on the person that's just been given the opportunity to now climb higher, and the expectations of those that trusted him to go higher, and what it is that he needs to do to make sure that he doesn't fail now that he's gotten higher. I remember reading a book years back, former Prime Minister of England, Tony Blair, made an interesting statement, and I just paraphrase it. He said, when he became a prime minister, one of the things he quickly realized was that the efforts that it takes to get to the office had nothing to do with what it takes to actually run the office. I was reading a book the other day, a great title, What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. And so there are changes that need to happen. And very often you will find, and it's a good segue into why people fail. You'll find that a lot of reasons why people fail in those transitions is they tend to give a lot of focus on the very things that they were good at that got them promoted in the first place. So now they've become a manager and they're still doing those things because they thought, well, I was good at them. They made me a manager because of this, and they're still doing it. But now you're a manager is different. You're going to have to learn to let things go. You're going to have to learn to delegate more. Have to learn to just lean on other people who probably may not do it as good as you to do what you thought you could do better. And usually just hanging on to it, it becomes one of the risks that really...
I mean, this is such a powerful thing you've said. It's almost like what it takes to win is not what it takes to lead. And a lot of leaders, even in this context, running an election, and I can even say that about our political parties, that they are election-winning machines, but they don't really govern with the same level of excellence that they run their election campaign. So that's a very profound point. So what are some of the transitions in the mind, maybe, that people need to make? Because you were saying, for example, that some of your colleagues would have been your... I mean, now you're their boss. Okay. So is it more a mental shift? Is it having a bigger car? Is it changing the way I walk and the tone in which I talk? That will let me know that I'm now the boss.
Well, there's a bit of that, but not quite. But I think that the first thing is you need to be aware of the potential pitfalls. So one being the fact that you are good at something doesn't mean that you need to continue to do them. Another being that, somehow a lot of people just fail badly at building important relationships that they need. You're never going to be able to just succeed as a manager just working in silos. The fact that you don't like somebody doesn't mean that you don't have to work with them. And as a matter of fact, in one of the things I'll talk about as we go ahead is really the need to build very strong network, groups of people that are going to help you succeed. And some of those people will include people who don't like you. So does that mean you don't have to go to them? No, you still have to go to them. And so and then again, another thing is some, let's say, especially those who come in from the outside. We've just hired a new manager. He came in from so-and-so TV station. They think they're bigger, they know it all. So they come in thinking, I have all the answers. I can do everything. And so they come in with a mindset that right from the outset, belittling everybody that's there. And very quickly, they make themselves unlikable. Nobody likes them. People don't care what you know until they know how much you care. So regardless of how much you bring in, it's like, who are you? And so though they're intelligent, but they don't succeed in the role. And so you have to first be mindful of these pitfalls. Why are these important? Because really, you have to make sure you prepare yourself so well, avoiding all the pitfalls, avoiding all the challenges that could make you fail.
We'll come to that in a second. Just to announce again, this is the Effective Living series, and we're talking making successful career transitions. My guest, Reverend Kweku Foridazi, who's a pastor, but he's consulted, he's done all kinds of things in his life, and he's basically explained to us what a career transition is. He's painted a very vivid picture of that, and then he's also highlighted why people fail. It's very clear that some people do not adequately learn what they need to learn and how they need to transition, and they don't build the right relationships and networks and alliances they require, and then others stick to what they know. They don't want to learn any new things. So you were touching on why it's important to prepare well in career transition. I wanted you to elaborate a bit on that.
Yes. And that's simply because I read a book the other day. It's an interesting book, and I highly recommend that book. It's called The First 90 Days. And all professionals out there, it's a great book for you to read by Michael Watkins. I think it's a Harvard professor, or was a Harvard professor. And he says this. He makes this statement in the book that the presidents get 100 days to prove themselves. The rest of us get 90 days. In other words, within your very first 90 days of starting any organization, your bosses are simply going to make a decision whether we should keep you or let you go. And so you now have to prove yourself that I was a good investment, that you did not hire the wrong person. And that in order for you to also be that effective within that period, your preparation is very, very, very key. And there are a set of at least principles I believe I will share today that would help you better prepare yourself in order to make a good career transition.
So the first 90 days are critical. First impressions are important.
Very important.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yes, it's a good quote from Will Rogers.
So these are key points to do. So I think you made a point that without good preparation, you will fail in your career transition.
You will fail. And ignoring all the things that actually contribute, these are all very known things. I mean, usually if you would spend some time maybe speaking to, if there is a very good HR team there, speaking to them, they would tell you, share with you some of the things or the very challenges that people who have done their job in the past failed in, or the things that caused them to fail. They will share those things with you so you don't end up repeating them. And so just be very, very intentional about the necessary learning you need to do. And what does it entail? The key component is really how quickly you learn. You have to learn very, very fast. If I remember an old boss of mine saying to me, Kweku, if you're not good to me in 1 month, you're out of here.
Hey.
Okay. Of course, he didn't mean that literally because, it was a job that probably had about a 6-month probation and all of that. But what he was saying is that in 1 month, you would know whether this person is it or not. And so there is a whole series of learning you must do. If I can continue with that.
Yes.
So learning in particular, you have to start with, 3 key areas. Number one, what are all the technology, every aspect of technological learning I need to do within the company. So yes, I've joined this company. Maybe the previous company, there were a set of softwares and applications they used to use. Now here they're using something different. You don't suddenly come in to change things. Learn what is this? What are the technology applications that I need to be aware of? The systems I need to be aware of. Getting to understand what really the processes there that I need to really master. You got to get that.
So you're talking about technical learning.
Pure technical
within the learning area.
Yes.
But apart from technical learning, what other learning do you need to do?
And then you need to learn about the culture.
Cultural learning.
The culture of the organization. Yes. You have to get to know really what's the language. How do people behave here? What are attitudes like? What do people do when they really want to just let it all out? How do people just get on? And you have to really start speaking the lingo.
You must learn the culture of the place.
Absolutely.
If you will thrive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Does that include the politics of the place?
Well, that actually is the third point.
Okay.
The politics is very, very key. And this is where a lot of people fail. Because most people, transition saying, I don't like the politics, I'm going to leave it to them. But here's what you need to know. Every organization, whether it's a church, whether it's whatever company you can think of, organizations are inherently political.
Yeah.
And you really serve your own self a whole lot of good if you learn to at least know who are the key decision makers here? Who are the power people, the big influencers? Who are the people and how do they make decisions? And how do I get close to getting to know big decisions even before they are made? This is very, very, very key. And very often some of these things you will find them among people actually that you don't like. And that's the problem. If you now shy away from it, you're in trouble.
So learn from everybody, including people you don't like.
Learn from everybody.
Let's come to the next point. So apart from learning very fast, you talk of understanding the situation the business is in.
Understand the situation the business is in. Every business really is at some point in a particular position. Now, whether maybe, of course, it's a new company. New companies, of course, the way things will be done probably will be a little bit different. If it is a company maybe that has existed, but it's not really quite achieving the results, you come with that understanding, the way you also get on with things will be a little bit different. And then, of course, it could also be a company that's really doing very, very, very well. It's already successful. They need somebody like you to bring in your expertise to maintain that success. Or sometimes it's a company that was doing well some time back and somehow has dipped. That's why they've brought you in. And so understanding the position the organization in sets your priorities as to how I'm going to approach, how I'm going to really succeed in this transition that I've made.
So whether they're in a new business or they are in transition themselves or they are about to wind up, and then whether they are re-energizing themselves. So you need to learn that.
You need to.
Do you learn that when you enter or before you get in?
Well, it starts. That's a great question. I often say that your career, whatever transition you're entering, it starts the very day you get told that you've been offered a job.
Okay.
You don't wait till you now start the job. So, and very averagely, maybe you might get the offer maybe a month or two even before you start. That very day, you begin. I remember saying this at a particular meeting the other day, and somebody said to me, no, I start mine when I start and make the decision that I wanted, even before I apply. But the key is do a lot of work before you enter. And then when you enter, move with the speed of light.
All right. There's a point I needed you to emphasize, which is the third point on your slide. You talk about line up with business priorities. In interviewing people for work, usually I find that some people come with their own priorities. It's like, oh, when I come, I want to do reporting on agri. About who tells you you're interested in agri? So I want to do social issues. I'm like, I'm hiring you and you are telling me what you want to do. You're not telling me what problem you want to solve for me.
There you go.
And a lot of times it doesn't end well, as far as I'm concerned. Now, can you comment a bit about that, where people sort of come with their own priorities without trying to understand what the company's priorities are?
That's a bad idea from the beginning. Regardless of whatever you think you can do, you were not hired to come and change the modus operandi. You have to always know what is it that business is trying to achieve. And if you've been hired as a manager, how do you align your team to the priorities of the business? And it starts really with you lining up with your boss. I say this all the time. Your number one priorities are your boss's priorities.
Okay.
If your boss wants to achieve this, you need to make sure that you line up with them. And of course, the assumption is that your boss is also going to align with his boss, and then eventually it goes right to the very top. So don't just come in with anything that sits outside of what the business actually wants to do. And then you have to also try and negotiate with your boss what success looks like. What would it take for your boss to say, I'm glad I hired you? What would it take? What does your boss define as good? You need to have a very clear template of what good looks like. Having that understanding. And then again, also you have to now line up with your boss on how to work with your boss. There are some managers that just don't like to be contacted anyhow. I find in my own personal experience that sometimes I would meet maybe my subordinates, and the minute they meet me on the corridor somewhere, oh boss, this, that, oh this, that. No. I don't always want to have those conversations. Sometimes I don't even want to talk about it.
I just want to have coffee.
Exactly,
This is not a place going to bring your stress to me.
This is not a place for it.
Yeah.
And by the way, you could have sent me an email about it. So you need to understand the way your bosses also like to communicate. So you don't end up just sending things anyhow. These are the things that make you not a likable person.
Does this priority alignment include expectation management?
Absolutely. Let me say, how does your boss like to engage? Or not even your boss, your entire stakeholders, the people that end up feeding off the work you do. What do they want from you? What do they expect from you? When do they like to see things done? How punctual, timing, accuracy, all of those things needs to be clearly defined. Of course, in defining expectations, you need to also define very clearly what not to do. It's not only what we're going to do and how you want it done, but what we're also not going to do. These are very, very key also to make sure that you achieve.
We're still talking effective living, making successful career transitions. My guest is Reverend Kweku Foridazi. These are mind-boggling insights he's bringing to us. Making successful career transitions, learn very fast, understand the business situation, line up priorities. We have a few more areas to go through.
Yes.
So you talk about establishing a clear direction for your team. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So now you've sat with your boss, at least your boss has helped you gain some sense of direction as to this is what now I'm going to achieve. You are, I'm assuming, if you're a manager, then definitely you're going to potentially at some point oversee a team. But you need to have at least a clear sense of direction for them. So that means elaborating very clearly, what exactly are we going to do as a team? Why are we going to do it? This is about creating energy. I heard the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, was asked a question the other day. What do you look for when you're hiring people? Good CVs? He said, no, I don't even look at CVs at all. Two important things I look at. Number one, do they create clarity? And number two, do they create energy?
Wow.
And so you want to hire people. You really want to be the kind of person that, first of all, create clarity, not only for your team, everybody that works with you and everybody that depends on your work, that you are very, very clear as to what it is that you are doing, why we're doing that. And then, of course, really, creating energy in a way that people just want to always work with you. You know, I say that you're really not a good manager if people feel they have to work for you. You have to turn people from having to work for you to wanting to work for you.
And with you.
And that's really the vision that you give, you sell to the team.
So let's come to building a team then.
Yes.
Because you speak in the context of some of this being entering a new leadership role. How do you build the team then in this career transition?
Well, team building for me always starts with what exactly the mission that the team needs to achieve that contributes to the larger priorities are. And so, I've had many instances where you will find that a particular team is supposed to do A, but the structure of the team does not align. And that's very, very key. It's, in fact, a large part of my consulting work was actually done in that space, that just helping organizations really just define very clearly what their mission is and how that translates into structure. But of course, you have to also make sure that really you have the right people on the team. So the selection process becomes very key. If it is a new team, of course, then it means you now have to hire new organization, you have to hire new people and so on and so forth. If it is an existing organization, sometimes it's about repurposing the team that you already have. It's about restructuring the team to now fit what your vision for that particular team is. And again, you have to also make sure you set out very clearly, this is how we're going to do our work, your approach to work, your strategy, whatever methodologies you want to engage in, setting those things very clear. These are all part of setting the direction that really enforces the building of the team that actually is going to actually now engage in this. Another key thing is also about making sure that there is a clear pathway for great communication. In building a team, what was it? I read the other day again, it says this, a quote somewhere. Sorry, I keep saying I read this. I just like to read, so forgive me. I read somewhere, I can't remember where I read it. It says, bad news is good news when it comes in early. And so you want to set up, establish a channel within the team that doesn't make people afraid to come and say, I made a mistake. So somebody's not going to make a big error and then just hide it anywhere. Create a culture that just makes it okay for people.
So that it allows the company to react quicker.
React very quickly.
That's crucial, particularly for the team. So that if there's something that they sense could be a problem, they should raise it early.
As soon as we know what's bad, we stand a better chance in actually whether mitigating whatever that risk is going to pose or whatever issue it is, resolving it. You stand a much better chance in dealing with it quicker the earlier you know it.
But I noticed that the leader sets the tone for that, because in my work I noticed that if I am approachable and the way I deal with when you bring bad news is when you bring me more. If I sort of punish you for being the bearer of bad news, and I start sort of like this guy's bad luck guy, then I'm not going to get the insights I need. So I think the leader sets the tone for that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's very key. But of course, you don't also want to have somebody that only brings you bad news all the time. You have to have a way of making sure that your people don't only bring in the bad news, but at least they also come with a suggestion as to what it takes to resolve whatever that bad news is. Else then everything now falls on the leader to now find the solutions. And that's not why we hire people. We hire people because there's a problem and we believe they can actually do it. So come and tell me the bad news, but also come with an idea as to how we can get about it.
Let's talk about networking.
This is a big one. Again, many years ago, my mentor in the company I was working for, I asked him a question. So, hey, how do I become successful in my role? And he says, I have 3 things to tell you. Number 1, network. Number 2, network.
Oh, Lord.
Number 3, network. I'm like, okay, I get it. But really, it's 3 key areas. Number 1, network is what I call the operational network. Who are the people that I need in my corner to make sure that my day-to-day work is a success all the time? This includes your team, includes your boss, includes, in some cases, even your clients. Anybody that contributes to your day-to-day work, that forms part of what we call your operational network. And then is also what we call your strategic network. Strategic network are the people that will help you understand what is happening in the business. Who are the people that I need in my corner to be able to help me know where opportunities are in the business so we can tap into it, to help me get a clear sense of where dangers are, so at least we can deal with them before they even happen.
Amazing. I mean, we've run out of time.
Have we? My goodness.
My Lord. The couple of final points that you mentioned, score some quick wins and then manage yourself.
Yes.
If you can just elaborate 10 seconds.
you're in the organization, you're learning fast, everything is going well. One of the things you need to quickly establish is credibility.
Yes.
And to establish that, you need to at least find some quick problems that are not very big to solve and solve them very, very quickly. As soon as you do them, what that does is you now build trust among the people. And then, what's the other one you said again?
And then manage yourself.
Manage yourself. In the process of all of this transition, you have to pay attention to yourself. Don't focus on the things, like I said earlier, that you were very, very good at, and then you now you have to let go. You have to ask yourself, what is it that I am so good at that I need to stop doing? You have to ask yourself, what is it that maybe I'm not as good, but I need to pay a lot more attention to? And what is it that I'm not doing at all, but I need to learn? All of these things is just helping you literally promote yourself, manage yourself.
I definitely need to bring you back on air, and I definitely need to tell people how to reach you. And so, look, this has been awesome. It's 30 minutes of condensed insights. Reverend Kweku Foridazi, how to successfully transition your career. How can we find you? Where are you?
Well, I have a consultant firm that's also running here. In fact, we actually just about finished a website that's going to come out. And so you can reach us on ads-sterling.com. ads-sterling.com. Every information that will be there, so you can have my contacts, all of it from there.
Thank you, Reverend Kweku Foridazi, speaking to us on Effective Living Series. This is the last for the third week. We're back with more. Thank you for watching.
Don't you know, you're beautiful, don't you know, beautiful, don't you know, live your life.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
We're back to school, we're here now, we're car box, and they were back.
Shopping for all your school needs made easier with Prospectus Ghana. We have it all, from mattresses, trunks, chobogs, brooms, cutlasses, hose, and more. Just bring along your list and we will deliver. Call us on 050-600-607. Locate us on the Graphic Road opposite Toyota Ghana. You can order online at www.prospectusghana.com. Prospectus Ghana, we are there for you. Prospectus Ghana, your one-stop shop for all your school items.
Prospectus Ghana, we are there for you.
Your one-stop shop for all school items.
Bet365 is now officially available in Ghana. My G, if you love sports, there's no better way to get a piece of the action. Build your own personalized bet with Bet Builder and select from popular markets on the biggest sports. You fit make multiple selections within a single match. For example, in football, you can choose first goal scorer and both teams to score to create your bet. Charlie, visit the official site at bet365.com.gh. Over 18s only. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hey, are you worried about your parties, weddings, hangouts, on what drink to enjoy for the celebration? Or you're worried about how to celebrate your friends and family during that special occasion? Bigo. Now that is Bigo. With Bigo, no wahala for the occasion. They made it for everyone to enjoy and have the ideal celebration. Bigo, the soft drinks that comes in 16 and 20 in a pack. Hey, Charlie, that is Bigo. A lot to go around in various packs. It's refreshing and good quality. Now that is Bigo. The taste is Bigo. Another quality product from Twillium Industries Limited. This advert is FDA approved. Bigo.
Imagine 7 exciting days of adventure through 16 incredible regions of Ghana with a promise of a rich cultural experience, introspective historical visitations, and exhilarating field days with nature. Imagine 7 amazing days of a road trip filled with the sights, sounds, and the aura of a diversified people. But you don't have to imagine it. You can be there to experience all the thrilling adventures a heritage caravan trip has to offer. What are you waiting waiting for then? Join the expedition of a lifetime to discover Ghana from the 4th to the 11th of March on the Heritage Caravan 2023. Pack your bags and let's set off on a spectacular tour from Greater Accra through to the Eastern region, Ashanti region, Upper East region, Savannah region, Northern region, through to the Northwest, Bodo region, Ahafo region, Bodo East region, Western North, Western region, and the Central region of Ghana. A journey full of fun, education, information, wonderful memories, and great bonding moments awaits you. So call 0205 973 973 to register for Heritage Caravan 2023 now. The Heritage Caravan 2023 is powered by Citi FM with support from Citi TV and proudly sponsored by Holland Ghana, the European Union, Malta Guinness, and Ebony Condoms.
They say each man for himself. Fight your own fight. Boafuyenna. But when you choose Societe Generale SG Ghana, you need help, you need support, you need your trusted bank to help you push your business to the next level. Boafuyenna, we say, it is our privilege to offer you and your business the SG Ghana Boafu loan for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. Get up to 600,000 Ghana cedis and 12 months to make comfortable payments. Let them say what they say. We say, Boafu Pepe Biaba. We say, no collateral, no problem. We say, call Societe Generale SG Ghana to experience real support as you grow your business. Call us on 0302-214-314 or visit a branch to find out more. As always, terms and conditions apply. Societe Generale Ghana. The future is you.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Yeah. You. Me do, oh no. Hey. You do me like you take me go shafa. Hey,
Time check 9:42, Citi Breakfast Show. A few quick birthdays coming through. Happy birthday to Mrs. Kaff Al Smith. Gary and the domestic tourists wish you a lovely day. I'm sure you know who they are. And this is also coming in from Selom Adonu.
Let's grab this beautiful thing they call love. I want to show you that.
Saman behind the Olympic Stadium is offering programs in management, banking and finance, business information, accounting, marketing, and others. These are BBA programs. You also have BSc Information Technology and Bachelor of Theology as well. You can dial *789 *300# to buy your form online. You may also go to hcuc.edu.gh. We have a caring faculty. We have scholarships. We focus on professional certificates in addition to your degree. We have one student, one laptop facility, and you can come in through either the WASI, the ABC, or HND or diploma, or come as a mature student. Call Heritage on 054-777-731. Heritage Christian College offering world-class university education and training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. All right, I'm sure you've heard a bit on air about the Africa Prosperity Network and the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, also known as the Kwewu Summit, and I think it's happening sometime in the month of January. I have two of the key people involved in this to help us understand what it's all about and why you must be interested. So Dr. Eugene Owusu is, for the purpose of this program, the executive director of the Africa Prosperity Network, but he's done many things in many places. He's been advising our government on the Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals, and he's also worked at the very high levels of economic diplomacy. Doctor, welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Bernard.
And he's also here with Joseph Atta-Mensah, who's a principal policy advisor, macroeconomics and governance for the UN Economic Commission for Africa. Welcome to the show, Mr. Atta-Mensah.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's great to have you. You have a very familiar name.
Well, that is true.
We'll talk about that before the show ends. Let's start with Dr. Usu. So, Doc, welcome to the show. So, what is the Africa Prosperity Dialogue, also known as the Quo Summit? What is all that about?
Right. It's the whole initiative is the brainchild of Africa Prosperity Network, which is a not-for-profit organization set up by some prominent Guineans and also very prominent non-Guineans. You know, these are really Pan-Africanists. The idea really is the dialogue is really to help establish a convening platform where business leaders, captains of industry, and political leaders at the highest level, heads of states, can come together and think as one and act as one, particularly in terms of setting and pushing transformative actions that really will bring prosperity to this continent. And the essence is, again, for the purpose of the maiden dialogue, the priority here is really looking at how business and government can work together to deepen economic cooperation, to deepen intra-African trade, and also importantly, to help accelerate impact investments on the continent.
So the dialogue is organized by the network.
The dialogue is organized by the network in partnership with the Office of the President. That's why I'm a key part of this. And some of the other partners are the UN Development Program, the UN Economic Commission for Africa. That's why Dr. Atta-Mensah is here with us, GIPC, and importantly, the Secretariat of the Africa Continental Free Trade area.
I see. So the UN system sort of endorses this, and you are being advisor for the SDGs as well. It's interesting because usually in the conversations about African development, we're talking about development, poverty reduction. You don't usually hear prosperity in that lingo. It's always about reducing the suffering of people. So just what's the thinking behind prosperity as the new term for Africa with these dialogues?
Well, I mean, if you look at what the partnership between the UN multilaterals, governments have done over the years, truly the emphasis is about changing lives. And changing lives is all about prosperity. And I think here the one of the key catalysts for this is that you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, which I'm privileged to be associated with. What are they about? The Sustainable Development Goals are really about bringing prosperity to our planet and prosperity to the peoples of this planet. That is why we say the Sustainable Development Goals are made up of 3 Ps: the planet, people, and prosperity.
I like that.
But I think as a continent, we've gotten to a stage where we need to now define our own narrative. And we can't continue to allow the narrative of this continent to be shaped by other actors. So I think the motivation is that let's begin to think of ourselves positively. This is not the period where a newspaper said a hopeless continent. We believe that we've come a very long way, and the hook for whatever we do should be prosperity.
So this is Africans thinking and talking about Africa.
Absolutely.
I like that. But why is it called the Quo Summit? And why is it not taking place in Quo if it is the Quo Summit?
Yeah, it's dubbed the Quo Summit because the whole idea was birthed at Quo. It was birthed at the Rock City Hotel where a couple of thought leaders and eminent Guineans and non-Guineans met to conceptualize this idea. And then we decided that we will brand it after the birthplace. So we christened it Quo. But also remember, the emphasis, a key part of the emphasis on the dialogue really has to do with accelerating intra-African trade. Remember, the quotes in this country
are the
traders.
Yeah.
So the two came together nicely.
I like
they
that.
came to, we decided to dub it the Quo Summit. For the very first summit, this maiden summit, which will be taking place in two parts at the Safari Valley Lodge on 26th and 27th of this month, and then 28th will be the presidential dialogue at the Peduase Lodge. Because of the involvement and the leadership of His Excellency the President on this, and the fact that he's inviting a number of his peers, and this is the very first time this is being held, and also because he wants to send a strong signal that he owns it. A decision was taken that for the maiden summit, we should hold it here at Peduase. Also for ease of logistics.
I see. So
But
it is possible that in future
I wouldn't be
go to its
I wouldn't be surprised at all that the next summit will be anchored at its right home.
Before I come to Mr. Tamens on the details of what we discussed and all of that, just to clarify a few things. So when is it happening, and what kind of person can participate in this summit?
Yeah, there are two parts to the summit. The first part will be on the 26th and 27th of January, and it will take place at the Safari Valley Lodge, Safari Valley Resort. And then we're bringing together political leaders, business leaders, thought leaders, young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, policymakers, to really think through the what is holding us back from accelerated implementation of the AFCFTA, and then look at practical solutions, and as I said on a different platform yesterday, practical solutions through the lens of quick wins. And then the output of that, the outcome of that engagement would then feed into the presidential conversation on the 28th, which will take place at the Peduase Lodge under the auspices of His Excellency the President.
So let me come to Mr. Atamensah. So what do we expect these conversations to result in? Or even before that, what kind of things will be discussed in these platforms?
Well, first of all, I thank you very much for inviting me. And also let me say that the UNEC, or the UN Economic Commission for Africa, is grateful to be partnering with the government and the APN in organizing this meeting. Yes, the important thing here is why do you need to have these discussions? And is this just a talk shop? No, it's not a talk shop in the sense that if you look at the theme, it's on the AFCFTA, from ambition to action. Because that's our ambition, right? The ambition is what we've succeeded in getting the CFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area. We've succeeded in getting it passed, and everyone has embraced it. We've succeeded in bringing the Secretariat to Accra. But so what? The next thing is the rubber hits the road. And so therefore, we have to begin to trade and goods. So you have to have a situation to ask yourself, who are those who are going to do the traders? The government is there just to support and to create the enabling environment, which through policy frameworks and all that. But eventually, it's the small, medium enterprises, the SMEs, who are going to do the trading, right? So what I think Ghana is trying to do, or this group of people are trying to do, is to say, look, let's bring government together. Let's bring those who are going to do the trading and ask them, what are the challenges that you're facing in trading? And let me say this. CFTA doesn't mean that we never traded before. This is not the first time we're going to trade. Trading exists already. But the difference between that is that now you're trying to remove the tariffs, right? Which is you don't charge a tax for trading. That's what it means. So you take off the tax, which is we call the tariffs, off. And as a result of that, African countries that have come together who form part of the Secretariat, or what you call the state parties, have agreed that they would take off 97% of their tariffs, the existence tariff, off gradually, though. And so at the moment, we have about almost 90%. We're not completely 90, which have taken up their tariffs. They've submitted the tariff lines and all that. and the Secretariat is verifying them to ensure that what they say they're going to do. The other important part, which also the traders wants to know, is something like rules of origin, right? So you don't want me to bring sugar from Brazil or somewhere, and then I just repackage it and sell it. No, I've not added any value to it. So you want to make sure that what people are going to say that they're going to trade, they've really added value to it. And the most important thing is like our cocoa, for instance, if you give an example. And I always go to, my roots in the sense that you say that you want value addition, right? So it's not only producing cocoa, the raw form, or extracting diamond just in its raw form, but you want to transform it into the end product, right? And so, for instance, with cocoa, you want to get the chocolate, you want to get the cocoa butter, which is used, and you want to make sure that every product is done. So you need to diversify our products, in that sense. And so when you begin to talk about diversification, then in this case, you've got to use the technologies available. So then it comes to innovations, right? So technology becomes key. And related to that, then in this case, that you have to, if you're going into technology and innovations, then this leads to what? Education. So you've got to have the right capacity to build the capacity to be able to do that. And so trade in itself is an important component of our GDP, right? But trade itself, right, leads to other things because it leads to, for you to trade, you have to industrialize. So industrialization is there. And to industrialize and to move trade, what comes in? Trade facilitation. And trade facilitation issues are what? Infrastructure. You also have to, if you're dealing with food and all that, so you have to have the laboratories to make sure that you meet something, global standards. So all these things are integrated. And for me, I think it's important that when you look at this trade, you have to look at it in a holistic manner because it leads to jobs eventually for everyone.
I see.
It leads to product,
My question to both of you is, so is this something we are paying for ourselves as a continent? Because one of my challenges with African countries is usually if they're even holding these heads of state meetings or whatever meetings they're having, there's always the question of funding, who's going to put this together. And inevitably, the person who has created the system that you are at the bottom of is the one paying for it. There's no way you're going to come out. If you're going to trade among yourselves, there are barriers. Yeah. Some of these barriers have been put in place long before you became independent.
Sure.
So what is the approach of the APN, African Prosperity Network, in terms of owning the conversation properly, setting its own agenda, and paying for the event?
I mean, very, very well put, we don't want this to look like pay to play. This is a vision that is strongly owned by a group of, as I said, prominent Africans, strong conviction, and what we are seeking to do is to define a narrative for ourselves, and to do so, I don't believe that we can do that through the lens of dependency, and looking for resources from external actors. So what the APN has done is to put together what I do see as a very bankable program, because if you look at the thematic areas, dealing with issues to do with productivity, dealing with issues to do with infrastructure and energy deficits, leveraging finance, and etc. And we've been able to pitch this to businesses, and it's gotten a lot of traction, because I do believe that those who are sponsoring this event, which is largely, almost exclusively the private sector, see the value proposition of what we are certainly seeking to do. So yes, the resource envelope to fund this has been mobilized from the private sector, from the Africa private sector.
It's happening next week. Is there room for more registrations? If there is, how do people become part of this?
Yeah, it's important question. It's partially restricted. And some of the limitation is largely also due to space capacity. Right now, we have close to in excess of 220 confirmations. And we also strongly feel that for the Maiden Summit, we need to have in that room, around the table, individuals and businesses in particular that can add value to the conversation. So right now, I would say that we are at the tail end of the registration, and perhaps, after today, registration, we may have to close registration.
So today may be the last day. Is there a number? Is there some website?
Oh, absolutely. There is the, I have to get this for it. There's a www.kwewu Summit, I believe the website is,
So you go to www.kwewu Summit.
That's correct.
Then there you can register to either sponsor or to participate.
Yes, particularly to participate. As for the sponsors, we've reached out to
passed
most
that stage.
of them. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Although we welcome additional sponsors, if there's interest at this stage.
Obviously, there are many more years to come of this conversation. So thank you very much, Dr. Eugene Owusu, Executive Director of the Africa Prosperity Network, and also Joseph Atamensa, Principal Policy Advisor for the ECA, and he's part of the team of thinkers who are going to be speaking and helping to steer the discussions at this very important summit happening next week. It's at both, is it Peduasi?
And Safari Valley.
Safari Valley in the Dukrom as well. Thank you. So it's a mountainous, it's a mountainous summit.
That's correct.
Fantastic. 10 o'clock. So we have time for today's edition of Citi Breakfast Show. Had Godfred Akotoboafo and Rita Sky with me from 6:23 all the way to 10. Thank you for listening. Coming up next is Brunch in the City with AJ Akwaku Sapong. And of course, City News at 10. Caleb Kuda is already here in his mauve suit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're not looking bad at all.
Thank you, Bernard.
It's looking very nice. Did you sew it or you bought it?
Yeah, I had this one. Usually when your limbs are long like
bespoke,
it's hard to find something.
They better thing for you.
Exactly.
You're a big man. What's in the news?
Bernard, coming up, minority in Parliament